Hello, 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 hello. How's everybody doing? Everybody doing okay? Oh, hello, hello. Who we got in here? Fried green tomatoes, Ziggy B and Bridget. How y'all doing? Where's everybody at today? Out and about on Saturday? Ziggy B, what are you doing? Hello, Barbara Davis. Hello, hello, hello. I guess it's too much of a touchy subject for a lot of people, but it's something that I feel like that I need to get off my chest. Hello, Miss Diamond. Hello, Gypsy Mountain Mama. How are you all? You guys doing okay? Love it. Love seeing everybody coming in. Hello, Clement or Cement Shoes. And Nana. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everybody coming in. Marsha. Hello, hello. And Gypsy Mountain. Um, Bulldog Mama. Hello, hello, hello. Janet V. Hello, Chris Gray, Cherry Gray, and Barbara Davis. Reading your Bible. I am feeling better today. I am. I really felt strongly about something, this subject, and that's why I might not get a lot of views on it, but at least I will bring some importance to this subject. Hello, Angel. Hello, and I might lose some subs over it too. I'm waiting on my first grandchild anytime now. Aww. I'm so happy for you. I'm happy. Congratulations. Hello. Oh, welcome, Janet. Welcome. She said it's her first time here. Oh, I'm so happy. Um, yeah, it's not a popular subject, y'all. Hello, April. But it's something that people need to know. And I'm going to warn you before we start to talk about this, it's going to get a little graphic. But there's so many people that just takes it for granted. Hello, Comment Vet. Hello, hello, hello. Yes, congratulations, Grandma. Barbara Davis, congratulations. But if I could save one baby with this live, it'd be worth losing all the subs in the world. And I'm just saying it because people don't really realize what really happens when a woman has an abortion. Now, I'm not trying to judge anyone that's ever had an abortion before. God loves you the same. But I'm just trying to let people know that it's not just well, let's just have an appointment and get rid of it today, and that's what it's all about. Hello, Jody H. Hello, hello. It's more deeper in that. And if you can look down below on the bar going before, the Bible talks all through um, it about how he formed you before you was born. He called you by his own name. He picked out that name for you before you was born. Um, yes, uh, Patua, abortion is very violent, and I'm going to put trigger warnings out because I want to bring that to a lot of people's attention. You're welcome, Diamond. Thank you. Thank you for being here and supporting me. I know it's not a popular subject for a lot of people. They want to kind of throw it aside. They're like, oh, well, we don't talk about that, or we don't bring up religion or politics. I don't bring up politics. That's not important to me. But the two things I will stick firm on is my religion and my beliefs, and this right here. I'm a fan of yours, but I can't watch this. It's sick what happens. I appreciate that. I mean, if you can't handle this, guys, then if you already know, then you know. But there's a lot of people out here that don't know. Um, okay, Nana. And they need to know, especially if there's one person. Yes, it's a lot more. I've seen videos on it. It's horrific. April said, I'm not for abortion, but I'm also not for government trying to tell us what we can and can't do. Crazy, I know. And I'm not trying to make anyone upset or anything, but, and I respect y'all's opinion. Hello, Savannah. Good afternoon. But these babies are, I mean, I'm really for birth control. I mean, I think we really need to address the birth control thing. And I really don't know how to answer about rape because rape is a whole different ball game. But what I'd like to talk about is, yeah, I do. I strongly disagree with abortion. I choose life, um, and it's murder. It's murder. God save the baby humans. Exactly. I mean, it is, and and especially after so many weeks when these babies are 15, 16 weeks along. Are you generation abortions or late ones? They are only performed when the mother's life is at risk. I'm just talking about if abortion is illegal, the government needs to provide free birth control. I agree. And they do. They usually do provide condoms and stuff like that. Absolutely. But I do want to bring this out for you guys. Um, the baby's got a heartbeat. It's a living creature did you all know from the time of conception when that sperm hits that egg that there is a spark of light there? And that's the soul going into the human being. So, hello, Rogue House and Lacey. And the thing is I've heard so many horrific stories. Now I'm going to put a trigger warning out here, because these babies, and I had a friend that had one at 16 weeks, and she talked about them having to count the pieces. These baby, I'm going to put this trigger warning out here, you guys, because I'm going to show you something that's pretty graphic. And but it has to be seen. It has to be an eye awakener for people. Okay, look here. They literally, they literally go in with a tool, and I'm sorry to show you guys this, and rip these babies' legs and arms off while they are still alive, piece by piece, piece by piece. Well, I understand that it might cost it, but how much is a human life is to give away? There's so many humans out here that can't have babies. That doesn't give a mother a right. If she's irresponsible to use birth control, then she doesn't need, and she wants to. And a lot of people are just throwing this away. They're just saying, "Oh well, I can go have an abortion." Oh well. But literally, I mean, how can we sit here and say every day that we are for these children being murdered every day, like Summer Wells or other children that's being kidnapped and murdered, but yet say, I'm for this, going in and murdering a child inside of its mother's womb? That is not the same person as that mother. She has no right when her baby comes in. That's not her right anymore. It has its own separate DNA. It has its own separate soul. It has its own separate heart. And they are committing murder when this happens. You are taking a life. This life will go to heaven, become a child. And if that mother decides to go to heaven, she will meet her child. But this is literally what happens. This baby is alive in the womb while this doctor is ripping its hands and its arms and legs off while in the womb. Now you tell me that ain't murder, because it is. Yeah, ripping the parts of the baby off. Okay, on partial birth abortion, that's 9 months. That's a full term baby. A full term baby. I have seen babies as little as 28 weeks be born and live. Perfect little babies, okay? These babies, some of them are born before the doctor even can perform the abortion on them, especially the partial birth abortions. Or sometimes they go in and snip the spinal cord of the baby, and the baby's still alive. Yes, it's horrific. And they snip the baby's spinal cord, and the baby is still alive. So do you know what they do with the baby? They leave it on a table for it to not move, not eat, nor drink, or nothing, and they let the child die. There's been so many horror stories about this. So many doctors, like so many people that's worked in these abortion clinics that said babies were born before their time, and one even reached up and grabbed the doctor's finger with its hand and wrapped its little hand around his finger, and he still proceeded in killing this baby. Abortion up to 12 weeks is only take a few pills, and it's like not like this. But there's still a baby in there that is dying. You are still killing a child, a human life that has a heartbeat. I've held a 12-week baby in my hand. They are perfect. Perfect. As an OB nurse, I've held a 12-week baby in my hand and watched a mother grieve over her baby. Okay, now I'm putting another trigger warning out because I want you guys to see this as well. And this is horrific. Please, 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 trigger warning, because this gets worse. Since this is just a figure, this is really what happens to a baby. These are real babies that's been murdered. Okay? Let's go back. I want you to see. If you've ever seen a baby, let me show you the ones. Some of them, they use like an acid on them, and it goes in and burns them at the same time. Let me see if we can find the one where the pieces is everywhere. It's horrific, you all. They throw them down. They throw them aside. They throw covers over them. They don't care. They do what they want to with these babies. These are human babies. I don't care what size the baby is. The people that's involved in this, if they can do this, then they can murder anyone, in my opinion. They can murder anyone. I'm going to take this down until I find the right one, because this can be quite graphic. And it's not a popular subject. You have the right to your beliefs. Thank you, crazy nurse. Hello, Thunder. Patty. At 11 weeks. Yes, it's a sensitive subject. But, I mean, how can we sit here and say that we are against these people that hurt children, but support such a thing as an abortion? We can't do that. Because somebody has to be a voice for these babies. I'm going to find this, because people need to know the real truth behind this. What really happens to these babies when they have partial birth abortion. So I'm going to put that in, partial birth abortion, and let you all see what that is, because that's a full-term baby. A full-term baby. And this is what they do to a full-term baby.
There is evidence that a child may have been...
Hang on just a second. I'm going to switch that over. I want to show you guys this. And no, I'm probably not going to get a lot of views on here, and I might lose some subscribers, but I can't help it, you all. I need to let this be known. Okay, this is a partial birth abortion right here. Okay?
Murdered in an intact dilation and evacuation procedure.
In a partial birth abortion, the abortionist pulls a living baby feet first out of the womb and into the birth canal, as you can see right here, except for the head, which the abortionist purposely keeps lodged just inside the cervix. The abortionist punctures the base of the baby's skull with a surgical instrument, like a long surgical scissor, or a pointed hollow metal tube called a trocar. Then he inserts the catheter into the wound and removes the baby's brain with a powerful suction machine. This causes the skull to collapse, after which the abortionist...
Wait. Lacey said there's no such thing as a 9-month abortion. They don't perform elective yes, this is what a partial birth abortion is, Lacey. This is a 9-month abortion. The only thing is the baby's head is not delivered. Once the head's delivered, it's considered alive, which we've heard horror stories about babies being born alive, and the doctor either goes ahead and kills them, or they leave a baby in a box on a table to die. And there's a story about that as well. So let's play the rest of this.
Completes the delivery of the now dead baby.
The baby is moving, baby is alive, baby is intact up to this point. But if the baby then delivers, it's then considered a live birth, and the baby would have to go to the nursery. But before that's allowed to happen, this is when the abortion would actually kill the baby.
This horrific practice was common in the United States, but it was finally outlawed in 2003.
I'm pleased that all of you have joined us as the
that's good.
Partial Birth Abortion Ban Act of 2003 becomes the law of the land.
Although partial birth abortion is illegal, little is done to ensure it isn't happening. And recently, strong evidence was discovered that a child could have been killed through partial birth abortion. A group called PAAU, Progressive Anti-Abortion Uprising, exposed.
Okay, guys, I want to put this out here. Trigger warning, and also I'm going to put a thing, because I don't want to get a strike for this, but you guys, I really feel like that people needs to see this. So I'm going to put that disclaimer out here, and we'll finish this, okay?
This evidence. They saw a medical waste truck parked outside Washington Surgery Clinic abortion facility and were given a box of medical waste. They discovered the bodies of 5 babies who could have been aborted illegally. One baby girl in particular displays strong evidence of partial birth abortion.
She has several lacerations on the back of the skull. One is in the occipital region back here. As you can see, the skull is totally broken.
However, authorities are declining to investigate the deaths of these children. If a 1-month-old...
These people are animals. It goes on every single day behind closed doors. So many stories, you guys, so many stories.
were discarded like this, there would certainly be an investigation. But because these babies were treated like trash, there is no investigation.
And that's why these activists and Live Action and others are calling on DC police to investigate, because these children could have been born outside the womb, could have survived outside the womb. There may be federal laws that were violated here, laws that prohibit partial birth abortion, laws that prohibit leaving a born alive infant to die.
And the abortionists know they are killing children. Partial birth abortions, like all abortions, intentionally kill innocent human children. They are devastating. Intentionally killing a baby is an atrocity, whether inside the womb or outside the womb.
Absolutely. I've got to stop for just a few minutes, you all, because I don't want to get a copyright strike. But if I could save one baby through this live, it's well worth it. You know what? If they can do this, if these doctors and these nurses can stand by and do this kind of stuff, and their hands are bloody, just the nurses is just as bad and bloody. They have blood on their hands just as the nurse. You know, when Cain killed Abel, he hid from God, but God told him, your brother's blood cries out from the ground from me to me. So whether or not the doctor, yeah, he's got his hands full of baby's blood, but also the people that's involved in it also does too. So let's continue, guys, okay? It's very, 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 very sad. And it continues. And that's just partial birth abortion. Let's see what a 16-week baby, which the everybody's throwing such a fit about right now, what it looks like. Everybody's like, I mean, I cannot believe that people are actually out here on the streets screaming and hollering for people to. Daisy, people needs to be educated. Too many brainwashed over decades. Preborn babies have rights to survive. State by state, in certain cases, aborting may be necessary. You know, there's so many people out here um, that want babies, and they can easily be put up for adoptions. But these clinics, they push the agenda. They are pushing their agenda for abortions, and it's nothing but pure evil. It's the devil, and that's what it is. I'm trying to see what it looks. Trying to show you. Hang on. What a baby looks like when they have an abortion at 15 weeks. Hang on just a second, guys. Okay. Viewers' discretion advised on this. Okay. Yes, it's absolutely murder. Women's right. Well, woman has a right to keep her legs closed. You know, everything is different when it comes to, like, with someone who's been raped. They can give their baby up for adoption. They don't have to abort their baby. But this is horrific, you guys. What they do to these little ones, absolutely horrific. I want to show you. There's one that's here. We go. Let me click on this. You can literally see this baby in pieces. Literally. Look at that. That's what's left of that baby at what, about 16 weeks? Hang on. Yeah. Hang on. I want to show you guys this. This one is worse than any of them. Hang on. Let me see. Yeah, a lot of people, they think that it's just, oh, well, you go to the doctor and it's gone and that's it. No, that is not it. It's brutal, and a lot of women lose their life. Look at that. That right there, that's pieces of a baby in those containers. Those are pieces of a baby that they ripped their limbs off while they're still alive inside their mother. There's an arm, you all. There's an arm. This arm was taken off from about a 16-week-old baby, ripped off while this baby was still alive in the womb. I'm sorry, guys. I don't mean to be brutal, but people needs to see this. These people that are out here on the streets. Look at this. That's probably about a 15-week baby right there. You see its arms, its legs. I mean, they literally brutalized this baby. Yeah. I'm sorry, Sherry. It's very touchy. It's touchy. But these women, they say that they're letting them get a heartbeat. Now, this is what people are on the street out here fighting to protect, for them to go in and do this to these 15, 16-week-old babies. Now, they take a vacuum in before that. Another trigger warning. And I'm sorry to show you guys this, but this is it. I'm sorry, Power, but literally people don't realize what these human babies are going through when their mothers choose to have their life ripped out of them, like ripped out. And they hurt these women as well. They don't just, a lot of women can't have babies after this, you know? And a lot of people are like, oh, let's, women's right. What about this baby's right? What about this baby's right? Does this baby that has its own DNA, its own heart rate, its own soul have a choice? I'm sorry, Wildflower. They don't have a choice. These babies don't. That's why I put the trigger warning up, guys, because it's bad. It's horrific. And they're just thrown away. They're thrown away in a garbage, in a biohazard container, um, to because they're nothing but garbage to these mothers. I'm gonna take this down, guys, and I'm sorry. Um, I'm sorry to tell you guys that it's so hard as a nurse and respiratory therapist when a mother goes into premature labor. We can get in trouble if we try to save them before 24 weeks because they say there is no viabilities. Absolutely. I've seen a couple cases at 23 weeks that they literally had to beg to send a baby to a higher level, and the baby survived at 23 weeks. 23 weeks. I was pregnant with twins at only 14 years old. I lost my twin daughter at 11. People want me to abort. I gave birth to my angel son. He's now in college and graduated 2 bachelor's degrees. Oh, Remy, God bless you. I intubated 122-week, got in a lot of trouble and written up for going against my boss who said no. The baby just left fine. Oh, Jeep girl. Absolutely. Sometimes you have to go against the rules. And today, I guess I'm doing that. I might lose subscribers, I might lose support, but I have to stand what God tells me to stand for. As a Christian lady, I have to stand for this. I know in my heart this is murder and it's not okay. What they do to these babies, women that go in there, and my friend who was 16 weeks pregnant, she almost walked out. She had no idea until after the abortion, and the nurse looked at her and said, "Now we got to go count the pieces." And she is devastated to this day because she done this when they didn't explain to her what was really going to happen, that they was what I said what they was that they was literally going to take her baby out in pieces while it is still alive. I'm still with his father for 25 years now. That's awesome, Remy. Miss Daisy, people need to hear and see the truth. They do. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to see it. They want to turn a blind eye to it. They want to get mad and attack you. They don't want to. It's like see no evil, hear no evil. But the evil is going on, and these little babies are the ones that's at risk for this. They're the ones that's suffering. They have no voice but us. If I can go to school, work a job, and raise a son at 14 years old after losing his twin sister, any grown woman can take responsibility and do it too. Or give that baby up for adoption. Give that baby a blessed home. You don't have to do that. You guys, I've seen girls as young as 12 years old, rape victims as young as 12 years old keep their babies. My mother heard my boss say to let her go, but I couldn't. I felt my heart that the baby would make it, so I went against boss. Heck yeah, I don't blame you. She was so thankful. She had tried for 15 years to get pregnant. Oh, God bless you. You did what God wanted you to do. You did what God told you to do, Jeep girl. And sometimes that's what we need to do, even if it means going against all odds. Love your channel, Miss Daisy, but I have to go. You have opened my eyes on this. Oh, I don't mean to hurt anybody's feelings. I just really, really need to get this out and let people know the truth. They need to change adoption laws. People can't adopt. It's so much money. I know. They make it difficult for people to adopt. I adopted my daughter when she was 2 weeks old. And a lot of times, if a woman will go and get the proper counseling and the proper health that they get, um, they will not abort their babies. They just want somebody to talk to a lot of times. And then there's some people that's just darn right out cruel and don't care, and they'll have multiple abortions. I'm not judging anybody who's had an abortion in the past. I'm just here to be a voice for the ones that are making trying to make the right decision in their life, because they will regret it the rest of their life if they go through with it. They don't tell these girls and women the truth because they know if they saw the truth, they would probably change their mind. Abortions are a multi-million dollar, yep, business. It's all about the money. It's all about the money, you guys. I have a friend who was and be, and became pregnant, and she carried the baby, then gave it up for adoption. I told her that was the most commendable thing I'd ever seen a woman do. Absolutely. I seen a 12-year-old who was who have been raped. I've seen them. Um and she kept the baby. She kept her baby. She chose life. I'm not saying that a woman should do that, but I'm just saying there's other options out here besides doing this to your little one. I've adopted 3 siblings and I got them at age 4 weeks, 14 months, and 4 years. They scheduled me for a DNC and my abdominal. Then 16-year-old now husband ran away and hid out to protect them, trying to get force us to kill our baby. Oh yeah, a lot of women, if they've got a baby, like my sister had a baby, her son Logan has hemophilia. He has a blood disease. My dad had it. He lived his whole life. He lived to be in his 70s with a blood disorder. It's genetic and it happens. But they asked my sister if she wanted to have an abortion because of it. She said absolutely not. I've also known women to use it as a form of birth control. Exactly, Steph. They don't realize what they're doing, especially after 15 and 16 weeks pregnant. These babies are real live human beings. Christ King, make the witches pay for the sins. I'm not here to judge anybody who's had an abortion. I'm just here to tell anybody that's thinking about it or supporting it that what you're dealing with here is you're dealing with a human life, a real human soul. And it's not that person. Once you become pregnant with a child, it is not your body that you're getting rid of. That is a child's body. You know, and a lot of these moms will take their daughters to have abortions and they don't even realize what they do to their daughters. You can take a baby to the hospital, firehouse, or police station and leave it, no questions asked. Exactly. You don't have to keep that baby. You can give that baby away, but give it life. Give it a chance at life. Because I'm telling you right now, that baby's blood will be on your hands and you will be judged for it if you do not renounce your sins and ask Jesus to forgive you. Anybody can ask for forgiveness and meet their baby one day in heaven. Planned Parenthood is demonic. Yeah, it's all a part of demonic. Miss Daisy, God is turning his back on us because of our turning ours on him. Exactly, you all. And like I said, I'm taking a very high risk right now on my YouTube channel, but I have to do it. It's all about the Baal sacrifice. Absolutely, it is. And millions of babies have died at the hand of these doctors. And women, not just men, not just babies are dying. The women that are having these abortions are getting internally hurt. They're having internal issues where they can't have babies. Like, a lot of women can't have babies after having abortions, especially multiple abortions. I heard a lady say that she was upset that she had to drive 2 hours to get an abortion. What in the world? Hate to inconvenience you while you commit murder, just saying. Right. But a lot of people don't realize what they're doing. A lot of people don't realize it. My aunt had one. To this day, she cries for what sin she made. And that can be forgiven. That can be forgiven. A lot of people make mistakes. But I think there needs to be more education on what really goes on in those operating rooms when they go in to take those babies out. My granddaughter was raped at 14, told her to have it if she could love it give it up. She had her seen her, couldn't let her go. She's 7 now. Absolutely, Miss Z. Absolutely. It's very, very important. I mean, a lot of these mothers that want to have an abortion um, keep their babies after they get help. A lot of parents throw their children, their kids out on the streets. God will make a way. God will make a way when there's no way. Just like said, I got pregnant at 16, had my baby right after my 17th birthday, every 27 years by myself until I marry again. Aww, that's awesome, you all. And like I said, I'm not here to judge anybody that's had an abortion before. Absolutely not. I'm here to try to convince people and let them know what really goes on so they don't make the same mistake. I was pregnant with my second child at 20, and my ex-husband and even my dad tried to make me have an abortion. I told them to do whatever you want, but I would not abort my baby. Hang on just a second, you all. Now she's 27. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Let's see. Nurses care. They know what goes on, retired and or active. Thank you. Bless you for standing up, Miss Daisy. It's hard to live in a world where you can't say anything in fear of argument. Sometimes I feel I'm brainwashed. I'll be like, yes, it's our choice, but no, it's not. It's not our choice. It's not. Jesus said, if you confess your sins, he will forgive you and he will never bring them up to you. You need to forgive yourself. Absolutely. And be a voice. Let's see. Junie said, oh no, bye bye. This is horrific. How can you do this to other women? I'm not. I'm telling you right now, how can a woman do this to their child that they don't even know about? How can a woman do this to their child? Right here. They have no idea that this is what's going on in an abortion clinic. And I'm sorry if you get offended. I'm sorry. But what I'm saying is there is nothing wrong with nobody that's had an abortion. I mean, they can be forgiven, and I'm not here to judge them. But I do want to say this is what happens to a little baby's body during a 15-week abortion. This looks like about a 15-week, maybe a little younger abortion. The doctor literally goes in and takes this baby's limbs out while the baby is still alive, limb by limb. And I can't support that. I'm sorry. I don't support it, you guys. I'm sorry. There's birth control out here. And the morning after pill is a form of abortion. It is. When the Lord formed you, like I said, when the sperm meets the egg and it comes together, there is a flash of light, and that is when the soul enters the baby. The baby is a soul. It's a human. It has its own DNA. It has its own heartbeat. It has its own feeling, and it has its own life. And yeah, supposed to say I raised her 7 years by myself. And if you can't afford to raise the baby, thank you, Cynthia. If you can't afford to raise the baby, then there's adoption agencies out here. There's adoption agencies out here. So many people. So many people. Um, and I've lost a lot of subs because of this already, guys. A whole lot of subs, but it's okay. I have to say what I have to say. If people want to hate because you feel a certain way, then let them shove on. And I'm sorry, but I have to say it. And it is what it is. And I'm not here to judge anyone. I'm just telling people how it is. Um, you cannot sit here and say, I'm for Summer Wells or I'm for Harmony or any of these children being hurt by their parents, and yet say, I'm okay with a mother going in at 16 weeks pregnant or 15 or whatever and literally ripping their baby apart. You have the right to speak on how you feel, Miss Daisy. Thank you, Horsewoman 2000. And the Lord will bless me because I have a semi following here. And if I can save one baby, you'll get new subs and you're standing up for what you believe in, quality over quantity. Thank you, Steph. But if I can save one child's life from the horrificness of an abortion, then it's well worth it to lose some subs or maybe even lose this channel. Yes, me too. Absolutely. But people really need to know what they do to these little babies. They need to know it. Yes, it's very graphic. Yes, it is. But a lot of people didn't even think that partial birth abortion is real. But it is very real. And they're out here every day murdering these babies, you all. It is absolutely murder. There's no doubt about it. You can say or whatever you want to do to make whatever excuse up, women's rights, all this. And believe me, I'm 100% for women's rights. But when it comes to this right here, it's not her right to take her own baby's life, especially in that way. You know, there is certain circumstances where women are raped and those poor babies feel that torture. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. They absolutely do, you all. And people needs to know what really goes on in these abortion clinics. The animals. I want to see if I can find some stories about abortion clinics, because there's some stories out here that I've heard that's horrific about um, what they've witnessed at abortion clinics. And I know there's plenty of them. Woman filmed herself during an abortion. Okay, let's listen to this right here, okay?
$1,200, $5,000.
Hang on, guys. I want you all to hear this. There we go.
We terminated our pregnancy at 21 weeks.
I was between 15 and a half and 16 weeks.
I was exactly at 18 weeks when I terminated my pregnancy.
18 weeks for the first and 14 weeks for the second.
21 weeks. 22 weeks.
I was 20 weeks and 5 days when I terminated my pregnancy. Her diagnosis was so severe, we knew that she wasn't going to survive no matter which route we went. And so I remember at night I was laying in bed and I just said, she deserves to have a name.
We named our daughter Angelica.
Her name was Lola. His name is Carson.
We named our daughter Charlotte.
Our first one that we terminated was named Stephen. The last one that we terminated was named Rachel.
We were thrilled to know we were having a girl and decided on Naomi as the name.
I still, think of her as my daughter. We did not pick a name, and I still think about it every day.
what's talked about is, women who have unwanted pregnancies. But there are so many women who have wanted pregnancies, desperately wanted pregnancies that have to make really hard decisions. And this bill doesn't seem to recognize that at all, and even the conversation. It's very triggering.
Hang on, let me see if I can find something that's a little more. I think these are stories of I know there's some stories out here. Okay, here we go. Hang on, guys.
We begin our show this week with some news that has brought deep sorrow to the pro-life community. Viewer discretion is advised, as the details we will share are quite graphic. As of taping, the Washington, D.C. medical examiner has refused to conduct autopsies on 5 aborted babies who were handed over to federal authorities by pro-life activists.
Trigger warning,
The
y'all.
activists from the Progressive Anti-Abortion Uprising, also known as POW, claim the babies were given to them by a truck driver outside of Washington Surgical Clinic. He was tasked with transporting medical waste from the facility. In addition, the group reports that they retrieved the remains of 110 unborn babies who were victims of first trimester abortions. These 110 children have been given a proper Catholic burial. This incident has led to outrage among many. Autopsies of the 5 babies currently with federal authorities could determine if their deaths violated the federal partial birth abortion ban or the Born Alive Infant Protection Act, which was signed into law in 2002. Medical experts are saying that the babies appeared to be in their 2nd and 3rd trimesters of gestation and could have been born alive.
In the presence of a Catholic deacon, Lauren cut open the box and the red plastic bag inside. We then proceeded to unpack the remains of 110, mostly first trimester aborted children. At the bottom of the box was a clear plastic bag with 5 more containers, one much bigger than the remaining 4.
Teresa Bukovac, founder and executive director of POW, said the truck driver who gave them the babies agreed to do so.
Let me say, Anne, absolutely this is a religious propaganda. Absolutely, because in the Bible it clearly states that they're human beings, and it is murder. It is absolutely murder. And people will have to pay one day for this. If they don't repent for their sin, they will have to answer for their unborn murdered child. And I am sorry. But absolutely, I stand firm on my religion, and I always have stood firm on my religion on this channel. And I'm sorry if I've upset anyone, but the truth has to be known.
When he was told the children would receive a proper burial, they were being transported in a
animals.
large box that he handed over to them to take home. And joining us now is someone who has been following and reporting on this story very closely, Sam Dorman, a writer for Live Action. Sam, thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.
I want to start by just talking through a timeline of how this discovery played out. Where did POW take the remains of these children, and when did the federal authorities obtain them?
Sure. So POW found these, I'm not sure exactly if they've said the exact timing, but they had them and then they were taken to Lauren Handy's apartment. And that's where they were found last week. Lauren Handy and the POW had asked the authorities to come and get them. So now we have they gave Live Action a tip, and now Live Action has footage, and we've reviewed the footage, and experts have reviewed the footage, and we currently see that, these are babies who were late term. They could have been viable. They also could have been subject, like you said, to partial birth abortion, and there's potential violations of federal law.
Yes. And the DC police have not pressed charges against Lauren Handy or POW in this case. But Lauren Handy is now being indicted in a different case from about 2 years ago, and they've brought that back up. Why is that? Do you have any insight into that?
No, it's kind of weird timing. The indictment was brought basically right around the time that they went and got.
I'm going to rewind that a little bit. Okay.
DC police or federal authorities as to where these 5 babies are now? What's happening to them?
It's our understanding that they're at the medical examiner's office, and so the medical examiner so far declined to do an autopsy. So Live Action is calling for an autopsy.
They don't want to do a live autopsy. They don't want to do a live autopsy because they know that these babies were murdered.
need to have an independent pathologist review the results and do their own investigation. And then we'd also like to have a proper burial for the children. That's like, I think the least we can do. An investigation is the least we can do, considering the state that they're in. Everyone has seen the pictures and how terrible they, the condition that they're in. And then only imagine.
Let's see if they'll show the pictures of it.
They brought this face.
Let's see. I don't think they'll show it.
Dr. Skop, as someone who has dedicated your life's work to bringing life into the world, I first just want to hear what your immediate reaction was to this devastating news.
When I initially looked at the photographs and the videos, my initial reaction was sadness. These babies were big and they were clearly viable. They could have lived separated from their mothers. They looked like normal children that I deliver every day in my practice.
Could you tell us how specifically you determined that these babies could have been victims of infanticide or of partial birth abortions?
Well, one of the babies, a little female, the initial picture that looked at her face showed very little cranium. It looked as if she might have anencephaly. But a photograph from the back showed a surgical incision into the back of her brain.
Wow.
This is consistent with a procedure that is illegal by federal law. A layman's term is partial birth abortion. The medical term is intact dilation and evacuation. What happens is the baby is delivered feet first to the level of her head, and then an incision is made in the skull. The brain tissue is vacuumed out, and then the skull can be collapsed and delivered. There was a large male who looked as if he had no visible abnormality or surgical incisions. My concern with this child is that he was probably delivered by an induction abortion. And if he was not killed prior to the abortion, generally that's done with a needle injection into the heart or into the amniotic sac with digoxin or some other poison that will stop the heartbeat. If he was not killed in advance of the abortion, it is highly likely that he survived the abortion, was born alive, and then was allowed to die by neglect.
Wow.
And
see, I
based on
told
what
you
found,
guys, this is what's
is it certain that
happening.
these babies could have survived outside the womb had they been given proper care or a chance to live?
The size of the babies is consistent with
Hello, gotta change.
probably several weeks, maybe even several months past the point of viability, which is where we expect a baby to survive. There were no obvious abnormalities that would make us think these children were killed because they could not survive. So I think that there is a high likelihood that had they been treated as we should treat unborn children, with care, that they could have survived, either gone to term and lived, or even lived at the gestational ages in which they were delivered.
And Dr. Skop, we have just a few moments left. Pro-life groups are calling for the DC medical examiner to autopsy the bodies so we can know exactly how these children have been treated. From a medical perspective, can you share why this absolutely must happen?
There are very few limitations on abortion in our country. Most people are unaware of that. But
sorry,
even so, there are some limitations. And for abortionists to flagrantly violate the law in order to kill children that are capable of feeling pain, generally these late abortions are for the same elective reasons as early abortions. This is analysis and possible prosecution is crucial for the ethical well-being of our society. We cannot allow people to kill these babies wantonly without regard for the law.
Could not agree more. Dr. Ingrid Skop.
See, that, so they go and do them behind the backs in the clinics. And this has been witnessed over and over and over again. My worry is, what if a mom could die if she has a baby? That has to be, that's a whole different situation. And that needs to be handled as well. Okay. I'll drop the link for you. That needs to be handled with care as well. there's different situations, but yeah, what they do to these babies, and there's some people that literally brag about having an abortion. I know there was a TikTok video of a young girl who bragged openly about having an abortion. And so, yeah, it's sickening, and it's cruel, and it's so many levels of everything, in my opinion. And like I said, I'm taking a big risk by putting this out there. I've already lost about 10 subs, but it's okay. It has to be done. And I'm okay with that, you know? Um Hang on. I want to hang on just a second. There's so many. Let's see. So, this girl is an abortion survivor here. There's one woman that actually survived.
Yeah, if God can perform miracle after miracle that He has in my life, right? Sparing me from an abortion, bringing my adoptive parents into my life, saving me from pain and suffering when I found out the truth about surviving.
She actually is an abortion survivor. She was aborted, and she survived an abortion.
That abortion, landing in the city where my birth father was living, at the same time that I was giving birth at the same hospital where my life was supposed to end, moving to the city where my birth mother's been for over 30 years, bringing her now into my life. I mean, the list could go on and on. If God can perform all of those miracles in my life, there's nothing that He can't do in someone else's. I think the biggest piece is that we have to be willing to cooperate with Him and say yes. I think a lot of times we know God is calling us forward to do something or try to mend a relationship, and there is this part of people that struggle and kind of go, I don't want to do that, right? Or yeah, maybe if they apologize to me first and we set these conditions, and God is saying, I'm talking to you. What do you need to do to make a difference? And so I look back on my life.
I think she was born like a real bad abortion, but she survived. And I'm not for sure how she survived. I remember seeing that story. What do you think about this, Christine? I've opened up a big can of worms.
I knew you would. I knew that this would definitely cause a discussion for sure.
Yeah.
And actually, my niece and my husband and I, a couple of our nieces are in a discussion. Of course, one's on one spectrum, we're on the other spectrum, and I think that young people right now just only believe that until the baby is actually born, it is just cells, because that's what my niece just said to me. And I told her, I said, honey, you need to go and look, because she's 23 years old, and she, I don't think she realizes, a child's nerves, a fetus's nerves is developed by the first trimester.
Right.
And it is no longer cells. And she said to us, that it is just cells. They're not just cells. They're not.
No.
And I think there's a lot of misconception, especially to young people.
They have their own separate DNA. They think, this is it's a part of me. Yeah, it's a part of you, but it also has its own DNA. It has its own soul. It has its own everything.
It has its own heartbeat.
Right. And the way that they brutally, a lot of babies who were aborting due to saline injections were born alive, crying and flesh burning from the injections. Yes.
Yep.
The ones, the 15 weeks that everybody's fighting about, like I showed, I don't know if you've seen the pictures, but they literally take the limbs off while the babies are alive.
I didn't get to see that.
You don't need to see
it. And I will tell you this, it hurts my heart, and I'll try not to cry. But as you all know, I struggled to get pregnant and have my children that I have. And thank God He had blessed me with the children that I have.
Right.
You know, but up till that point, you've got to take accountability and responsibility. If you are not ready to have a child, it is not the child that is not existed yet problem. It's your responsibility to make sure that you are taking the steps not to get pregnant if you're not ready.
Right. Right.
And that's just my opinion, and I'm sorry if I hurt anybody's feelings, but that's how I feel about it.
Gotta Change says, I have a full-term baby that passed after birth. I had a daughter 3 months earlier that was 3 pounds 3 ounces that graduated Victoria in her school. Aw, hello, Vanessa.
Well, hello. I was in the comments. I wrote, okay, my story is I got raped when I was 8 years old. Okay, and the doctor gave me the choice. I don't regret my child. The doctor gave me a choice whether to have an abortion or have my baby.
Right.
And at the time, my brother just saved puppies from this one guy that he would always let his dog get pregnant. And he would take the puppies and either drown them or throw them in the river. So my brother waited and he went and got the puppies. And he jumped in the river and he got them and brought them home. And my brother was very upset. And my mom said, well, why did you bring all these puppies home? And we bottle fed them, though. And he was like, Mom, he said, this guy does it all the time. And instead of getting his dog fixed, he lets her have pups and he kills them.
Oh, Lord.
And I could not do that. And my brother was crying and everything. And then that happened to me. And I said, that'd be like slicing my baby's throat myself. I can't do that. My child is Daniel. And he's a good man. He's a good Christian man. He went to my aunt's best friends that could not have children, either one of them. And it was an open adoption. And this was 40 years ago, but still, I don't regret my baby ever.
Absolutely. And yes,
I mean,
Nora, I agree.
I got to see him. Huh?
Nora wrote, does the dad not have a choice? Yes, I think the dad should have a choice. Absolutely.
Right.
Here's your choice: is to take precautions. If you are not ready to be a mom or a dad, you have the choice to use protection or use certain methods to make sure that you do not get pregnant. That's your choice.
Right. But I was so young when it happened.
Yeah, she got raped.
And,
I'm not saying you. I'm sorry, but I was just addressing
okay.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm glad that I had a Christian background, and I knew not to do that. Right. And you know, I wanted my child to be raised in a Christian home like I was. And I got to visit him up until he was almost 3 years old, twice a month.
Oh.
And yeah. And I'm glad that my parents drove me back and forth out of state to do that.
Right. Well,
it just got too hard on both parties.
Well, you did the right thing. You saved your child, and I bet your child's been a blessing as well, right?
Yes, he is. He's a Christian group leader. He studies his Bible 3 to 4 hours a day. And he knows who I am. He's always known. But there's a lot of girls that didn't have that like I had it.
Right.
And my mom.
And I'm not being insensitive to that either. You know what I mean?
No. No. But I'm glad I had that background, or God only knows, I'd be like a lot of girls that were in school.
Right.
They had abortions and they went paranoid schizophrenic after that.
Yeah, it's traumatizing.
Because they hear
traumatizes the
a
woman.
baby, right? They hear a baby cry all the time. I explained to other girls what abortion really was in school. I helped them with open adoption, and they asked me how I knew, but I couldn't tell
Yeah.
how I knew because it was a family secret, right? But I finally told my children 10 years ago. And right, if I would have got abortion, it would have killed me because here I have a blood disorder that's called factor 5.
Mm-hmm.
It causes your blood to clot, and it is opposite of a hemophiliac.
Right, which my family is a hemophiliac. So my sister's son's a hemophiliac. And they wanted her to have an abortion because of that with my nephew.
Well, right, and I wasn't supposed to get pregnant again after that, but I did, later on at 17, but still, I could not do that. There is no way. And I know girls today that had an abortion and now they can't have children at all.
Right.
And I asked my parents, why did they give me the choice? Well, by law, under 12, it's your parents' choice. But my parents left me
literally,
choose.
there's mothers out here that forces their daughters to have. Hey, Karen.
Right. But do you let your little girl be a little girl, or do you force her to be a mom?
Well, once she's made that decision to lay down and have that her way, I say not let her go out and have sex. Don't give her that opportunity. Put her on birth control. I put mine on birth control when she started dating at 15 years old. Because you never know.
Well, having this blood disorder, I cannot take birth control. I cannot get my tubes tied or anything like that.
You chose life. You didn't take the easy route out. You chose to keep your baby from being ripped to shreds inside
and I didn't want people in our hometown making fun of him on how he came about.
Yeah.
But I look at it this way.
Yeah.
Moses walked, or he didn't have a child. I think I got the right person in the Bible. For how many years? And then he had an Egyptian girl, had a baby, right?
Right.
And then when his wife got pregnant later on in years, he disregarded that child and that mom.
Right. Well,
and I didn't want none of that for my child. So my child grew up regular.
But he still had a chance at life. You didn't take his life.
That's right.
Karen,
and delivering naturally at 9 years old was a hard thing to do.
Oh my God. That's horrible, baby. 9 years old having a baby.
I know. Very horrible.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Karen,
like I told girls in school, you heal in 6 weeks, honey. You do not want that to where you can't ever have children when you're older.
Children are a blessing.
I mean, I led them to different nuns that they escaped their home and went to. And I think that was meant to happen to me.
Right. Yeah.
I really
Every
do.
child is a blessing, no matter what.
Because I helped a
And
lot of other girls hide their pregnancies
there's
until it was way too late. And
I'm
I helped them adopt them out to like an aunt and uncle until they became of age or whatever. Yes, I did. I even sent some girls to different nuns and stuff that run houses for these girls.
the baby can be
And I'm
taken
not
from daddy
ashamed
and
or
mom.
embarrassed of that
That's a
or my
miscarriage.
child
Right.
because
I don't blame you.
I just ain't.
I don't blame you one bit. I don't.
Now it took a
Karen, what is
lot of
your
years
intake
for me
on this?
to get here to,
Do you have an
but
intake on this, Karen? Right.
I'm glad my parents gave me that choice.
Absolutely. And there, but like I said, there is some mothers that does force that.
And I just wanted to let other girls know that you're only pregnant for 9 months, honey. And that's not very long.
That baby can be given up to a home
Things can
instead of
change
having
from a
limbs
boyfriend, a
ripped off.
husband, your situation.
Right.
It
I
can
want to give
change
Karen
in
a
those
chance
9
here.
months. And if it can't, try to have a friend or a family adopt your child so you can at least see your child.
Exactly. Karen, what's your intake on this?
It's better
Is my mic
than
on?
death because
Yeah, it's
death is
on.
forever.
Absolutely.
We can hear you,
When you
Karen.
will be
Okay.
judged no
I'm
matter what.
sorry I'm such a mess. I was laying down. I've had 2 strokes
You're
and brain
fine.
surgery.
You're fine.
I think it's gonna storm here, so my big dog woke me up.
Oh,
I'm awake now though. Daisy, I missed you guys last night. I stayed
I
up
miss
and
you
stayed up and
too.
stayed up. And
I
anyway,
miss you too.
what gets me on this is women say that I have the right to do with my body what I want to do.
Right.
Okay. It's not their body, it's a baby's body. I mean,
And it's
Exactly.
also the father's choice.
well, if they want to go out and take drugs and be promiscuous and put themselves in places they shouldn't be, that's their body.
Hello,
But
Barbara.
when they say that I have a right to do with my body what I want to do, that's fine. But it ultimately is a baby. It's another body.
It's a human being.
Right. And
And
it is
I
just
think
like
young people right
having an
now,
abortion is like letting your dog have pups constantly and then killing them in front of her.
Yeah.
Well,
I think young people right now,
That's what it is.
I've never been pregnant. I've never was blessed with any kids. All my babies have 4 legs and tails. And I mean, it, when you've never had kids and you have animals instead, I have a purebred Arabian horse I've had 35 years. I
Right.
got her when she was 2 years old. And I promised her she will not ever go anywhere else. She will be with me until I don't even want to think about that. But that has been my biggest point is that I can't imagine what it'd be like to be able to have something inside of me for 9 months.
It's a blessing.
Right. And even with my son, I had a heart attack at 3 months. And they wanted me to abort my baby at McGee's, and I said, "Oh, I will not."
I just can't imagine what a blessing
They can
that
take
would
your baby out of you and put it into another woman. Yes, they can, because I was so sick and my heart was failing. They was going to take my son out of me and put him in my sister. And my sister was
thing
going to
is-
carry my baby for me, but my
thing
heart
is-
rate dropped.
It says in the Bible, I knew you before I formed you in the womb.
Exactly.
It says in the Bible, when you make that decision to get rid of the
And
life
I
that
spent
God
6
has
months
gave
in
you,
McGee's hospital to have that
not
boy.
your life to take. It's not. It's another human life. I don't care if you're pregnant and it's your body or your decision. It's not your decision, and you will be judged by God.
It is your body, but there's another body inside of you. I mean, as soon as that baby is conceived, God, I mean, look around, look at all the miracles. And that baby is already developing. To me, when that baby is conceived, it is already a human. But
right. And my
people,
sister can't have children
It has a
either,
heart. A
so
baby has a
she's in the
heartbeat
same
at 4 weeks.
situation as you are.
A child
And
has a
my
heartbeat.
kids are her kids. My sister has helped me raise my children, her and her husband. And when they're good, they get rewarded from all of us, you know, whenever her husband was alive and everything. But you know, it's I'm glad my sister was there to help me.
So young
because
people right now, they
I'm a
are
single
thinking
mom
that these are just
and
cells.
it's
They're not
harder.
cells.
I think they need to see, you know, they're wanting to teach all this other stuff in school that is totally against the Bible. Why don't they? I mean, when I
It's
was growing
okay
up,
for them to push their agendas on us, but we couldn't push our
exactly.
agendas.
Exactly. Why don't they
And
show them what happens when a baby's conceived and the different stages it goes through? Christine, you got, I absolutely love this channel. To find a channel that is is Bible based, I've got goosebumps. But the little girl and the chimes, I was watching a horse training video late. I mean, I stayed up watching those, waiting to see if you were going to come on, Daisy. And I heard chimes in the background. And I was thinking about you. I mean,
Yes, and at some of those clinics, they actually let
thank you, Karen.
some of the fetuses. They just put them in the garbage,
oh,
they throw them
in the
away. They put them
dumpster,
in a biohazard bag and they
whether
throw them
they're
away.
alive or not.
I'm telling you,
right,
they're human souls.
through what I've gone through with my strokes and all that and dealing with stuff, I met a man that I live in West Virginia. I met a man that lives in Virginia, which just to get to Walmart, you go through Virginia like 3 or 4 times. But he lived about 30 minutes away from here.
Are you okay, Christine?
And his daughter, which it was all in the news and everything, his daughter, they didn't know she was pregnant, which I don't guess they did. But she ended up having that baby and took it to one of the parks in Virginia and put it in a cave.
Yeah.
And it's like there's safe places. Why don't I just
they don't. A lot of people don't know that they can take a baby to a health department or to a hospital. Our hospital is a safe haven for babies. No questions asked. You can take the baby.
Well, a fire department, a police department. I mean, and what gets me is these people that go and there was a murder of somebody. This was a couple years ago of an abortion clinic doctor. Well, are they saying that the murder of that abortion doctor is? I mean, what's the difference?
In my opinion, if someone can sit there and assist in an abortion, they can assist in any murder. Any murder.
Well,
Whether
but I
it's
mean,
a baby
what
or
do they think is right about going and murdering that doctor? I mean, it's murder's murder. I
mean, they don't even give these baby anesthesia. They just pretty much rip them out, suck them out, twist their legs, their arms, cut their spinal cord, you name it. And I know it sounds horrible, but that's what they do, and they don't care.
I mean, I've got a little teeny tiny salamander that I found. I was feeding my frogs worms, and he is about 1.5 inches long. That's including his tail. I thought he was a slug. I've got him here in a little aquarium. He is so tiny. I mean, I've given puppies mouth to mouth. I was taking care of a friend of mine that had high-priced boar goats.
Right.
I had to reach in there because they were both trying to come out at the same time. Got them both out, hung them upside down, had to run up to the house and get colostrum, put a tube down their throat into their stomach, which I'd never done before because they were away at shows.
Yeah, I mean, like if you take
and
animal,
it's like I just don't get it. But when they
don't get
took
it either. How can
when they
people
took
sit
the
here?
Ten Commandments down, that and if people would see stuff like that, even these young kids would see it.
Oh, you
They
could,
read it, but
Fluffy.
it's going
You
to stick.
got a murderer.
It's going to stick in their mind.
Fluffy said, I had a miscarriage and had to have a DNC due to infection. Some girls at my work called me a murderer. I was devastated. You absolutely was not a murderer.
A miscarriage? You have no control over a miscarriage.
No, you don't. That's not.
They're ignorant. Don't pay any attention to them. They're ignorant. And I'm sorry, I have no makeup on or anything. I was laying down, and I guess it's going to storm.
It's too hot for makeup.
I want to. 8 years old. I mean, wow, 8 years old having a baby. Oh, you are a troop. You are a troop. And I can honestly say I would not have judged you if you would have made that choice early on, but I could understand why you would. I'm not supporting it as a Christian. I don't support it at all. But I could see, which I'm not judging anyone. I just want to open people's eyes, let them know that these are real human lives. These are souls, and you will have to answer one day whether you support it or if you do it. To me, if you support it, you're just as bad as the person that's doing it.
They go out and be promiscuous and get pregnant.
Murder.
And it's just like, I mean, I think it started with disposable diapers.
Yes, you're right. Some women just get pregnant and use abortion for birth control.
If it doesn't fit into your agenda, get rid of it.
A lot of mothers force children. A lot of mothers force their teenage daughters to have abortions. The girl that I knew that had at 16 weeks pregnant, she throwed up and cried all the way down to Knoxville, Tennessee. She said she cried and throwed up. She didn't want to do it. She got in there, heard the baby's heartbeat, and still presumably went in there and done it. She had no idea until the doctor looked at her and said, or the nurse looked at her and said, now we got to count the body parts. And then
do what?
Realized, yeah, they rip the baby to pieces. They take it out by its arms, its legs, one by one while the baby is still alive.
Oh, God.
An abortion. And she said it, that the nurse looked at her and said, we have to count the body parts. They have to make sure they get every piece of that baby out of that mother after they brutally murder that child inside of that mother. And she can't hardly talk about it because then she realized what she had done. Because
she was 16.
No, she was 16 weeks pregnant.
Oh,
she had already had one child.
Oh.
And she got pregnant by another child. Or another child illegitimately.
Gotcha.
And a 16-week baby is a pretty good sized child. A pretty good sized child. And yeah.
Gosh, I'd even give a little frog mouth-to-mouth resuscitation brought back to life.
I'm going to get off of here. I figured I'd tell my story. If I can do it at 9 years old.
Yes.
A grown woman can do it.
Yes, yes.
I mean, your body will tell you what to do.
Well, thank you for sharing your story. People need to hear it.
You're welcome.
Imagine having a baby.
You're welcome. I love you girls. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, honey. Thanks for sharing your story. 9 years old. Wow. I couldn't imagine that. I thought even 12 was young, but 9, how can a 9-year-old get pregnant? But I guess it happens,
All the hormones are putting in chicken and everything now. I mean, to make the chickens grow faster so they can sell them faster.
Oh, yeah,
That's
yeah.
why all
Well,
these young girls are developing so young.
the world's went crazy. It's
It
turning.
has.
It's getting more and more evil, and
I mean, what you have been talking about lately, with I mean, I know all that stuff. Isaac Cappy. I mean, I know all that stuff, but I don't have anybody. I mean, I try and talk to my sister about it, and she's like, no, you're just a conspiracy theorist. I'm like, no, I've got my eyes open,
Right.
And so
a lot of things I don't feel strongly about. There's 2 things that I feel very, very, very strongly, and I'll stand firm on it. And that's my religion, and that is abortion. And they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
And I have to.
I don't understand why. I mean, like I said, I've never been pregnant. Lord didn't bless me with any kids. And that's why I used to rescue everything in the world. But why they can't carry them to full term and adopt them out?
I wish I could find some of them horrific stories, especially the one where the nurse said that the one was delivered as a full term. It was bright and pink, crying. They stuck it in a box and left it overnight by itself. And the next morning they came in. I mean, that nurse is just as responsible.
I think I remember hearing you say that before.
Yes. That nurse to me is just as responsible as that doctor when she turned around.
There is no way in the world I could have done. Why in the world did that nurse not do anything about it?
She contributes to it. When you work in a abortion clinic, your hands is bloody just as anything else is.
Exactly.
You've got murder blood on your hands just as the doctor does.
You're an accomplice.
You are.
Well, just like, even if Dawn went, who knows how this story's ever going to end up. We probably won't even figure out all the details, because I started on it day one. I mean, being in West Virginia, I'm about 3 hours away from you, Daisy. My sister and I meet there and eat at the Flapjacks when you first get off there in Kodak. And she comes from Lexington, Kentucky. And the last time we met was on my birthday, and going by and seeing all those signs and the park signs.
I love you, Christine. That's
and
right.
all that. Bye, Christine. But yeah. I mean, anybody that doesn't speak up. Now, Hunter, he may be a different story because of his age, but I mean, anybody that was involved in those, to me, is an accomplice.
There's so many little babies that can be adopted. There's so many little babies that need. There's people out here that needs needs children. Now, am I saying that I'm being judgmental towards somebody that's been raped or had incest? No, that's a different story. Or if the life is at risk, I don't support it, but I'm not going to judge about it.
Well, it's not our place to judge.
Go out here every single day, and just randomly have one abortion right after another.
I'm still here.
Okay. No, I don't support it at all. And especially after 15 weeks of pregnancy. Even at all, I don't support it. But when the bigger that baby gets, the more complications you're going to have getting that baby out. Absolutely.
But I mean, to think that when they're first conceived, that everything is starting to grow.
They're human. They're already have.
Yeah.
They have a soul and they're in heaven.
Ugh.
Those babies are all in heaven.
That one that you did,
Yeah.
the one about the babies being named and everything. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, I have a cousin that I love so dearly, but she stands firm about her pro choice. And it's caused a lot of conflict between me and her.
I can understand that.
Because she will not see it any other way but a woman's choice. Well, I agree. Women should have rights just as many as anyone else. But when it comes to a baby being brutally murdered inside of you.
Well, then there's two involved, not just
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. Mrs. Fletcher said, I'm almost 8 months pregnant now, and this one is a rainbow baby. Aww. I couldn't imagine not having any of my 5 children. Oh, God bless you.
What does she mean by rainbow baby?
That means she's had a miscarriage. So if you have a miscarriage and you have a baby after a miscarriage, it's considered a rainbow baby. It's almost like a blessing baby. It's a blessing. All babies are blessings.
I've never heard that. I just can't imagine what mothers feel when they're handed that baby. I don't know why I was never blessed with one.
I'm gonna be honest with you. When after that girl told me that about her going through with that abortion, after she even had condemnation about it, I lost all respect for her. I don't know why. I could not help it, but I just felt like that she could have walked away that day. She was old enough. She worked. Yeah. So a SA victim, you're calling them a murderer. Crime have consequences. A rape. If you heard me say about rape and incest, I said that's a different story. But all in all, yes, it is murder. I'm sorry. It is. Whether it's a rape victim or an incest, it's still a man and you're taking its life. And
do you remember
that
I'm sorry.
crime have consequences if you want. But I'll stand firm to the end of time about my feelings. I know what my God's told me. I know what's in the Bible. And it is what it is. And yes, absolutely, it is a murder. Now, I don't judge them, especially a young child, but that baby can be put up for adoption.
Yeah. Do you remember the story about the two, I think they were Mennonites, the two boys that sexually assaulted their sister several times?
Do what now? Sorry, my dog was barking.
Do you remember the story? I think they were Mennonites, the two brothers that sexually assaulted their sister.
I don't remember that.
You don't remember that? It's been, I think, about 2 years. Something came up and I didn't watch it again on it. I think because I think it was just the original story. But I don't know if she ever got pregnant or not. But she went back to the same house. They didn't do anything, I don't think, to the boys. But I mean, to me, later on, it seems like it would be easier for the person to deal with,
Angie, that's a
whether
different
it was
story.
incest or rape. It would be easier for them to realize that they did carry that baby full term and give it up for adoption, rather than.
Angel said, sorry, Daisy, I was not taken to any clinics, but the master I was with had me abort 14 babies by abuse inflicted by him. The first was 8 years old. Will I be in trouble with God? No, baby, you would not be in trouble with God because that was not your fault. You was forced to do that, babe. And
Oh,
you'll not
wow.
be, nobody will be in trouble. Even the ones that chose to have an abortion before That all they have to do is ask God for forgiveness for that, and God will forgive them. I'm not judging anyone, but am I saying yes, it's murder? Absolutely, it's murder, and I would be telling you a lie if I said any different. It's murder, no matter what the consequences is, no matter what the situation is. It's murder. With you, you was forced to do it, or any other person that is forced to do it. But someone who chooses to do it by their own consequences, absolutely. There's always adoption as an option. Always. We should put the predator to death, not the innocent babies. I agree. I agree. I mean, it's sad, y'all. I had to have an abortion in 1977. I wasn't formed enough to carry a baby. It was the hardest thing I ever did. I was a month pregnant. I'm sorry about that, Leslie. And Leslie, you do have a baby in heaven waiting for you. That baby is still in heaven waiting for you, honey.
And name your baby.
And name your baby, absolutely. And let's see, I will pray the understanding of the subject. Give me a Bible verse to go read with understanding. I have a Bible verse right here. It says, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. And before you were born, I consecrated you. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations." God has chose each and every one of these children to be born. It's not our place to take that child's life. I'm sorry if you guys, you can unsubscribe from me, you can be mad at me, but I stand firm on what I believe. That is your opinion, crime. And no, an SA victim should not have to carry a baby. That is your opinion. In my opinion, it's murder. It's murder. I totally understand the situation, but that baby can be put up for adoption. It absolutely can. But in the Bible, it is a murder. You are killing a living human life. Whether it's 1 day after conception, 1 second after conception, you take that baby's life, it's gone. That is murder. And I'm sorry, but that's what it is. It's in the Bible. There's no excuses for it. It is what it is. Miss Daisy, my hubby and I are both born from teenage pregnancies. Thank God our parents raised their children to go always respect human life. Absolutely. The government shouldn't control what women do with their own bodies. It's not their bodies, crime. I'm sorry, but it's not their bodies. That baby has a soul. That baby has its own heartbeat, and that baby has its own DNA. And that baby has its own body. It's not that woman's choice. She should have thought about that before she got pregnant.
Amen.
And they will be judged for what they do. You will be judged. It is what it is. People can make excuses, twist the truth, or whatever they want to do, and say this and this and that. But the Bible stands firm, and one day we will be judged for what we do. We can twist things, the Bible around. We can say whatever it is, but we will be judged because God don't make his opinions change. He don't. And yes, the woman can be forgiven. Absolutely can be forgiven. But it's still murder. And I'm sorry. It's not that woman's choice when it's not her body. It's not her heartbeat. It's not her DNA. It's not her pain. It's not her crying. It's not her breath. These babies are brutally murdered. Brutally murdered. They rip their limbs out while they're still alive. They twist their limbs around. Do you want me to show you the diagram again? Because I can. Unless you don't care because you're more about women's rights instead of a baby's rights. But there you go. Right there you go. Common consequences. That's what they do to a 15-week-old baby while it's still alive.
You go, Daisy.
What they do. They rip the baby to shreds, and then they throw it in the you can go and do whatever you want to, real Lady Justice. I blocked your butt before. I don't care if you unsubscribe from me. Go. Bye. I took you out from underneath the block list anyway. This is what they do to a human baby during an abortion at 15 to 16 weeks pregnant. Right here. You can hit that unsubscribe button. I don't care. I'll stand firm until the day I die. And I will be a voice for the unborn. They take them out while they're still alive. They rip their arms and legs off. Then they go in and crush their skull. That's what they do. I'm going to take this down out of respect for my pregnant sub in here. So I don't want her to have to see that. I unblock people and they come in here and show themselves again. I don't, like I said, I know this is very confrontational. I know that before I started this live, you guys. So, I'm sorry. And I'm out here for these babies. I'm out here to be a voice for these babies. That's what I'm out here for. So, you can hit that unsubscribe if you don't agree with me. If you don't agree with me, you can stay. But I'm telling you, murder is murder, and these babies are being. I can't believe there's people out here on the streets that's actually fighting for rights to do that to a child, an unborn child. Well, that's their choice. I guess they won't go out and have unprotected sex, will they, crime? And just think it's okay and convenient. If they want to go to Mexico, then they'll think twice before they get pregnant again. They can think twice about it. I don't care about their rights because I care about that baby's rights. How can you stand firm and say that you support Summer Wells? How can you say you support any of these missing children that's parents murdered them or hurt them, but yet support having a child's limbs being ripped off while it's still alive in its mother's womb? You're welcome, Miss Fletcher. I'm sorry. How can you support that? Absolutely. You need to repent for if you've had an abortion crime, you need to repent. Because you will be judged one day for that abortion. I'm not judging you, I'm just telling you what I know. You need to repent and ask God and your child for forgiveness and give that child a name. Because that baby's in heaven right now without a name. But it's in heaven and it is a real baby. Linda said, but I had a miscarriage and I hemorrhaged real bad. I hemorrhaged again when I had 3 small babies at home, and I told him to go ahead and do a DNC, and I think about that baby every day. Well, honey, you couldn't help it. You have to get the baby out. I had that same problem with Jinkies. I had to take her to 3 different doctors for them to tell her. It don't matter if it's 100% a crime. It don't matter. It don't matter. It is what it is. It's an abortion. Any abortion is murder. Whether it is what it is, you're taking a human life. Whether you believe it or you not, you asked your God. I know what my God says. I don't know if it's the same one, but if it is, if you believe in God of the Holy Bible, the God of Israel, then you need to ask him. You need to have that little conversation with him. That's a conversation you need to have with him. Abortion is not birth control. Thank you, S. There you go. It's not. It absolutely not. Now, do I say if I judge a lady that's been raped or a child that's been raped, and if they have an abortion? No, I'm not. I'm not doing that.
Daisy, I'm going down, but I'm still listening.
Okay, sorry. I'm getting heated.
No. Go ahead. Go ahead. I love it. I love it. Are you going to
Like
be?
I said, I'll probably lose subs, but it's okay.
Well, you're not losing me. Are you?
Thank you for your sword.
Are you going to be on tonight?
Yes, I am. I'm getting ready to go off here. I just wanted to come on for a short live and bring this up because.
Okay. Goodbye, Goose Squad.
Goodbye.
Bye.
You're welcome, Angel. You're welcome. Absolutely not. Absolutely not, crime. That's not your fault. A miscarriage is not your fault. If you lost a baby that died inside of you, absolutely not. And I am absolutely not saying you are a murderer by all means. No, that baby's in heaven waiting for you. You cannot help that. Absolutely not. My agenda is these women that get out here and get pregnant and they're just having one right after another, carrying these babies. I just can't believe that people want a baby aborted after 15 weeks when this baby, and they don't know what really is going on. They don't know. They don't know how they're killing their babies. If my friend would have known that they was going to do that to her baby, I don't think she would have went through with that abortion. I know she would not have went. She told me she would have not went through because it still hurts her today to think about it. It's a confusing subject. We don't understand how it perceived by God because soldiers were ordered by God to destroy every man and woman and child in the city. God had purpose behind it. If a woman goes out and deliberately kills her child, to me, that is murder. I mean, it's just what it is, you know. Okay, so now she's, because I don't agree with what crime and consequences has. Now she wants to attack. She wants to come in here and attack. I'm just telling you this much, and I don't care what anyone has to say. An abortion is murder. It is. There's no other way around it. It's murder, guys. Come up, Jinkies. The babies deserve the right. They do. They deserve to have a chance. If you don't want the baby, give it up for adoption. Let somebody else take that baby and raise it, but give it a chance at life. It's not your life to take. It's God's life. You don't even have rights over your own life to take. Your life is not for you to take. That's God's choice to take your life. You don't even have rights over your own life. Are you coming up? Now, like I said, when it comes to a child being sexually molested or raped or 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 having incest, that's a different story to me. I'm not judging anyone. That's between them and God. But when you go out here and you have unprotected sex and you get pregnant and you decide that all of a sudden, after carrying that baby for 15 to 16 weeks or whatever, you want to just throw that baby away, absolutely. No, I'm not calling a DNC murder. No. A DNC is not murder. I never said that. You all are putting words in my mouth. A DNC is when you have to get rid of a miscarriage. An abortion is going in and killing your baby. Don't try to twist my words. Don't try it. Don't try it. A DNC is when they go in and take a child out of you that is already passed away due to natural causes. That's your opinion. Stop exploiting. That's your opinion. The government has no right over any human being. Only God has a right over those human beings' lives. The government don't have a right for anything when it comes to a baby's life or anybody's life. Jinkies.
I'm just coming up here not to be your friend because I'm still mad at you, but
Stir it up.
okay.
Stirred some feathers up in here.
So here's the thing.
Yeah, a DNC is way different than having an abortion. An abortion is when they go in there and kill your baby while it is still have a heart rate, while it still is alive, while it is feeling every bit an inch of that doctor ripping its limbs off limb by limb.
Here's the thing.
I don't care about the law.
Let me tell you.
The only law I go by is the Jeremiah, the book of King James version, the Lord's book. That's the only law book I go by. Go ahead. Hey, Jayla, what's up, girl?
Hey, I know the story. I know the story about the girl on panel. She was telling about the Amish girl. And Daisy, you really need to study on that because it is it broke my heart.
Nobody's pushing nothing. I'm just telling you. You'll get your beliefs one day. Stop exploiting. When you every knee will bow, and every person will confess that Jesus Christ is the Lord, and you will too. And you will have to answer for what you do in this life. Life is like a vapor. You're here today and gone tomorrow. People forget they will have to be judged. And when you murder a baby inside of you, and you let a doctor go in there and butcher your child, absolutely you will be judged.
You are exactly right. I believe everything you said.
I'm tired of people saying beliefs. You better believe that there's a God of Israel, that there's a God, we have a creator, and he is watching and writing down every single thing we do and say. And that one day we're going to have to answer to that same God.
Yes, I agree. I agree 100%. What I was telling you was she was talking about about that she asked you, she was talking about that lady, a little girl actually. They actually at True Crime, they actually had a story on it, but they couldn't tell all of it because of the girl being underage. But wouldn't you know, she was pregnant by her brothers and she went and told. Do you believe that they put her right back in the home where her brothers could torment her?
That's horrible.
That's very horrible to me. I said, when I seen that, that blows my mind.
Right. I agree.
I mean, that little girl wanted help. She wanted out of there because her brother's taking turns with her. She thought it was wrong, of course, but I guess her brothers didn't. And to me, they should have been charged. They should have been charged.
Absolutely.
They wouldn't allow her to get rid of it or anything like that, which I never heard that she wanted to get rid of it. But I did hear that, she wanted help. But where she's only 12 years old, the parents made her come back home.
That's sad.
It is sad. I think it's when a judge should have jumped in and made an order that the state could protect her because she's only 12 years old.
Absolutely. I agree. I agree. 100%.
And she wasn't saying anything about abortion or nothing like that. She just wanted out of the home.
I don't know where or why the N is there. Miss Stacy, do you? What N? I don't know what she's talking about. N. Daisy, if they don't support their beliefs of this channel, they need to hit the door and split. I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to tell, I'm being a voice for the unvoiced. And as a Christian, I debated this and I actually talked to one of my good friends about this. And and she and she's one of my good friends. I confided in her and she said, "Yeah, let's do it. Let's talk about this." And
It needs to be talked about.
And yeah, I'll probably lose subs and everything else, but guess what? I'm still standing for what I believe in, whether or not I do or not. I love the people that come in here. I support them 100%. But I have to speak the truth. I have to speak the truth.
And when people comes up there, and I have never heard you put down people that, um, was, it ain't involving a baby or nothing. You always try to help people. If you can't help them, then you always give them somewhere that advice to help them.
Right. Thank you.
And I know.
Thanks. Thank you.
I mean, you do a really good job, I think.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I feel convicted to do it, and I feel very strong about it. I'm not judging anyone who has had an abortion. I'm not, but I'm just saying it is a murder. It is.
Let me ask you something. If something goes wrong during your pregnancy, and they had to, they had to take the baby sooner or something like that, I understand that. I do understand that. But for an abortion, I just can't do that.
No,
I just cannot do that.
And really, what I originally came in here, thank you, Reptide, thank you, is I wanted to bring awareness of what they really do to children when they perform abortions, especially after the gestational age of 15 weeks. That's really what I wanted to bring.
Well, they had that. They was telling that little girl that was 12 years old. To me, she was, she was a voice for her own self, but yet she got shut down. I did not think it was right. I said everybody should be able to speak and believe the way they want. She should have got her voice out there without having to hide it.
Right. Absolutely.
And I know it was in court. Last time I heard about it, it was in court because that happened over a year ago. And the lady on the podcast, she didn't do a movie about it. She just done the regular podcast. But still, it was good information because, hey, some people need to be, educated on that.
Right.
They really do. I mean, I know that she was going to have one of her brother's babies, but I just could not get over the fact that they put her back in that home.
Right.
When that happened, when my biological dad done that to me, and I was at Shriners.
Yeah.
It was horrible. It was horrible because it was like I didn't have a voice until that trial, and at that trial, I actually got to have a voice.
Right.
And it did. I cried like I never cried before. Just because he was in the courthouse where I could see him. And I was terrified to death at 12 years old. You can imagine. I was in a full body cast, so that was very, very hard on me.
Right.
And the reason it took 2 years to take you to trial is because they wanted to make sure that I had enough therapy to go through with it, and I did. I got
good.
The judge told me, he said, you can look directly at me and not your dad if you want to, because on the right side of me was the jury. Right in front of me was my dad and his lawyer. On the other side, on the other side, it was my lawyer, my lawyers with the district attorney and the judge. And I didn't look his way, not every time.
Right.
I had a guardian alliance person with me, and she helped me through every bit of it. If I woke up crying, she lived 5 minutes away from me and my grandma, because my grandma had custody of me. Well, they took all my mom's kids. They took all of them at first. 6 weeks later, they put the boy, my little brother, back in the home. but not the girls. I never could figure that out. Why they let my mom and dad keep my brother. And
Right.
to me, if he done it to me and my older sister, which he did, we saved all the, I got four sisters. We saved the other two sisters.
Aw.
Yeah.
Jenny said, I'm still mourning the death of my grandson because my daughter chose to abort him. How old was she? How far along was she? He had to be far enough along to know it was a baby boy.
Yep.
Sorry about that.
My daughter's 5 months.
A DNC is not abortion, you all. A DNC is not abortion.
No,
if you
that's what
miscarry your baby it's not an abortion if you miscarried. They do call it a spontaneous abortion in the medical field because I did work OB. It is called a spontaneous abortion, but it's not a real abortion. The abortion we're talking about is an elected abortion where you choose to let a doctor go in and end your child's life. There's a difference. A DNC can be done for several different things. Oh, I'm sorry, Jenny.
my mom had to have what you're talking about. My mom had to have that done after me.
Okay, Zen. Thank you, Zen. Go ahead.
And
Sorry.
my mom had to have that done, a DNC, after
Mhm.
she me or after she had my older sister, after her because where she lost her baby, it and they had to go. They keep her in the hospital to do the DNC, and then they released her. But it was to make sure they got all that out of her.
Right. Yeah, they
She
got to
wasn't
get all that
2 months
material
pregnant,
out.
so
Yeah.
so I do understand the difference, like you're talking about there. I really do.
Like Mrs. Fletcher said, it's sometimes a medical. It is necessary, a medical necessary, at times to save the mommy after the baby passes.
Yeah.
Absolutely, the baby starts to break down. The baby can cause severe sepsis. The baby they have to get the child out. There's a huge difference, and I hope that nobody gets that confused and thinks that I'm saying that they're murderers because they've lost a baby per miscarriage.
No, there's
I'm
difference, like you said.
There's a difference. And a lot of these women that go in and have these abortions don't know what's really happening when they have these abortions. And I wanted to bring awareness to this. I don't want to bring judgment on anyone. Yes, it is a murder, but if you've already had an abortion and you repent and ask God to forgive you, that child will forgive you and God will forgive you. I'm not trying to be judgmental towards anyone. I understand, that things happen like incest and rape and stuff like that. I'm not judging anyone that has to do that to make that decision. Absolutely, I'm not.
But if
And
they are pregnant and they want, if they are pregnant, and let's say they wanted to have an abortion, what what's the sense of having an abortion when you can actually give birth and adopt that baby?
they don't
Let it be
want
adopted
to.
out. That's the way I see that part.
Right.
Because some people can't have babies. Some women can't have them.
Right. Right. And just like what Melinda said here, sometimes it's just an inconvenience to be a pregnant mother. Be responsible. There are options, adoption. And exactly, I mean, these girls will go out, get pregnant, have an abortion. They won't be responsible enough to get on birth control again. They think it's all fun and games, so they just continue on having abortions. They have multiple abortions, not realizing that. Well, I think there was one time a girl I think she had 3, and the last time that she had one, she actually got to see her baby. Somehow she seen her aborted baby and went hysterical because she had no idea. She thought it was just a clump of cells, but she seen that it was actually a baby. A lot of
And I,
people is brainwash people thinking that it's a clump of cells when
yep,
it's not. It's not always that.
my daughter is, like I said, she's due September the 27th. But we already know that she used to have a C-section. And, you know, she lives right with me, so she ain't going nowhere, so I could help her with the baby because she's afraid to hold it without anybody being there because if she has a seizure, it could hurt the baby. But the doctor at UK Hospital, you know UK Hospital in Lexington, they're the one that it's scheduled. He already got it scheduled. He said the C-section will help her a lot because if she has it natural, and the pain automatically makes her have a seizure, then you know it could make Britt die, honest to God, and the baby. So he's doing a C-section on her where she, you know, she'll be numb and she won't feel the pain.
Yes, absolutely. Hang on just a second.
Okay.
Let me let Sherry up here.
I'm gonna go back down, Miss Daisy. I was just letting you know. I
Okay.
just I heard that girl tell that story and I knew it, and that's the reason I thought she was still up there, and I was just letting you know about that little girl because she's Amish. You know what I'm saying? And they got their set of rules. You know.
Right. Absolutely.
I thought that you know that girl just didn't have a voice.
Right.
Because they all covered it up. But I'll get off to Miss Daisy, and God bless you, and I'll be in the chat listening to you.
Well,
Thank
thank
you.
Miss Shayla.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you so much. Bye. Yeah, a DNC is not an abortion trial by any means. Absolutely not. Yeah, the baby is already passed away. It's when the mother chooses to go in and have an abortion. And what's really the horrific thing for me is when these babies are at 14, 15, 16 weeks and beyond. And you know, even the partial birth abortions, I mean, going in and killing a full term baby is horrific. Horrific. You know? Hey, Ziggy V, what's up? You with me, sissy? Ziggy? I don't know. What do you think about this, Sherry?
Well, I've seen it from both sides. I've seen women that were date raped. They were less than 4 weeks pregnant, and they were going to lose their job if they didn't do something. And but I still abide by the Bible.
Yeah.
I abide by the Bible. I've read my Bible twice, and I can
Right.
find anything in a concordance I want to research. But yes, Jesus does say
I
those
agree.
that hurt these little children will have to wear a millstone around their neck.
Right.
And you know that, don't you?
Right. And like me and Miss Z here, we was talking about. Miss Z said she didn't know nothing about abortions until her church showed her a video of what they do to the babies. You know, and she was like,
Yes.
"God, you know, I didn't know that that's what they do. You know, to these little ones."
Yes, it is. And when I was in college taking child development, we studied from the time of conception until they were 18 years old. And yes, we had to see fetuses and the beginning of life, the embryos before they're even fetuses. All they were different stages, and they were formaldehyde, but we were learning about child development, and so it's just really sad. It's just really sad. Too many people have gotten away from God. They wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for Him.
That's right. That's absolutely right. Um, these little ones, it's got to have a voice for somebody's got to have a voice for them.
Yeah, be glad. Be glad your parents didn't decide to abort you.
Now, I'm not saying that anybody that's had an abortion can't repent for their sins and ask God to forgive them.
No, I know that's true.
There's a lot of women that regrets it, that they've had it and they regret
Yes,
it.
yes, but the main thing is you need to go to God in prayer. You don't have to do it out loud. You don't have to do it in church. The Bible says you can go in your own closet and pray to God, and He will hear you just as loudly. But
Yeah.
the thing that bothers me is these people, they don't know the Bible. I hated it when the Bible was
Mhm.
taken out of school by that whatever Madeline O'Hara or whatever. But when I taught, I kept my Bible on my desk the whole time, and I told my kids, I said, it's highlighted in a lot of stuff places. I've had this Bible since I was 10, and I said, you're welcome to take it off my desk and read it anytime. And when I told them there were things highlighted in there, oh
Yeah.
man, I couldn't find my Bible. They were passing it around.
Well,
But
I just
abortion,
wish that they would be
getting back
more
to abortion,
education. If they're going to be for these counselors, if these women are going to these crisis centers, this is what my agenda is right here. If these women are going to these crisis centers while they're in crisis, then they need to see exactly what they do to their babies when they go through this abortion.
yes, I think all those
They need to
formaldehyde
see it.
jars should be shown to
Sadly,
the women that are about to have abortions.
sadly, I think there'd still be a lot that would go through with it, but there would be a lot that absolutely would not go through with it.
Yes.
Those little fetuses were once us. It's unbelievable people don't realize what they're standing for. They will know one day. Absolutely, they will. It's like they got a blind over their eye. It's like a blinder. I don't get it. I mean, they're
Well,
more set in their ways about women's rights, but it's not a woman's right. Once you conceive that baby, it's no longer your right. It's
because
God's
it's
right. That baby is
because it's
God's,
two
not
people.
yours.
Miss Daisy, it's
Um,
two people. It's two people now.
exactly. And the morning after pill, that is absolutely abortion. Because the baby is already formed in the egg. The egg is already became a human, and it keeps the human baby from attaching to the placenta in the womb. So therefore you abort the baby. And that is being used. I mean, you can go in a store and buy that now, but actually that is a real abortion because
Yes,
your
I
baby.
understand. I understand that. It's just really sad. The whole state of affairs of our country and how things are going. It's just going. Everybody's taking a step
You're
backwards, or
welcome, spread
they're
love.
just taking a step forward, and it's not even right. Most people are against abortion, by the way.
They really are, but there's a lot that ain't. And they
Yes,
get
I know.
upset when you try to tell them. And I guess we get upset too because they stand firm and we do too. Um, but listen, if you know, I got to stand by what the Lord tells me in my heart to do. I can't.
Absolutely.
My life is His life. He controls.
Absolutely.
He takes care of me, and He'll take care of me from now on. But
Oh,
I have
yes.
to be a voice for Him and for these babies as well.
This is just our first
Yeah, they're
life.
like $40, but what it is the egg actually gets fertilized, and once it gets fertilized, it slowly moves down the fallopian tube into the
Yes.
uterus, and
Into the
there where
uterus.
it plants.
Yes.
But
And people think
unfortunately,
that's a mistake.
the
That's a
after pill
miracle.
prevents it from attaching to the uterus, and therefore it's flushed out of the body. But it's already formed a child in it.
I've had a miscarriage and it wasn't pleasant. But
Oh,
my husband, he was stood behind me and everything. And
absolutely,
that was
spread.
sad.
Thank
That is
you.
sad when you think you're pregnant, and then all of a sudden you're pregnant one day and the next day you're not. After that
Yeah.
big fiasco in the
And you
bathroom.
still have those hormones. You still have that want. And the reason why is not only am they hurting the babies, but a lot of these women that has had abortions, their heart is completely shattered after they do it. They're broken for the rest of their life. If
Yes,
they would
they're
have had
emotionally
one
disturbed for the
person
rest of their lives.
stand up and say, look, you have another choice that you can do. Don't let this doctor do this to your child, because a lot of them don't find out until way after they have an abortion what they really do, you know. um then maybe they're hurting too, um and they can be forgiven, and their child in heaven that they aborted will forgive them as well.
There's a big difference between losing a baby through miscarriage and
Mhm.
having an abortion. An abortion is a conscious decision.
Oh, well, come back up
Correct?
to me if you
Correct?
can. Absolutely, it is.
Where's Jinkies? I told her I'd go
She
online
came
and
up
she'd
here
come
just
up.
a minute ago, was shady and left.
She said I
And
was shady.
I know that have had one are totally destroyed for life now. So many regrets. Yeah, that's my agenda here. Not to attack anybody that's had them before, is to try to help people understand what really goes on in these operating rooms. These little babies are at complete thorough mercy to these murderers. They're
How
murderers.
many how many, Miss Daisy, could have been leaders or great teachers like
Prophets or
Jesus?
saints.
Or how many of them would have been ministers? How many of them would have been such an asset to society? And you think about all those lost things.
Okay.
That's where it just flips me out.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely it's a touchy subject, and I've lost 20 subs already because of it. But I have to stand firm. I mean,
Don't worry about losing subs. You're gaining subs. I've told everybody to listen to you.
Sherry.
Don't
I
worry
know.
about losing subs. You're going to gain new subs.
Well, thank you, Sherry. I know, but and I hate to run one off, but I have to talk about this. My daughter will see her baby in heaven. Absolutely, she will. Hey, sunshine.
Daisy?
Hello.
Yes. Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Yeah, I agree. This is a touchy subject
Thank
with a
you
lot
so.
of people.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Thank you,
I
Mr.
have a couple
Fletcher.
stories I want to tell of what happens when you don't have an abortion.
Okay.
So I have a friend, and some people that do follow the channel have probably seen me talk about him in chat. His name is Eric. I'm going to use his, I guess for lack of better words, his famous name. His name is Eric Black.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When his mother was younger, she was raped, and she decided to keep the child instead of having an abortion done. Something in her heart told her just to keep him. So she kept him, and she gave him up for adoption. A beautiful German family adopted him, and he had an amazing life. When he became, I was the store manager at Earthbound in Cool Springs.
Vicky,
So
what are
he
you
was
doing? I'm sorry. Sorry, I
in
thought my mute
his,
was on.
what, Miss Daisy?
I thought my mute was on. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. He was in his early to mid 20s when this happened, and he got a phone call from the Montel show that his biological mother was looking for him, that she had wrote a book, and you guys can look this up. It's on Amazon. You can actually download it for free. There's versions that are like 99 cents, and it's called I Called Him Jeremy. She searched for him, and she searched for him. And they went on the Montel show, and the reason why they went on the Montel show was to tell about internet bullies, and this was way back when, so probably what, 17 years ago. So this was the beginning and the birth of the internet. And she is actually the FBI agent that helped start the exploited online children, predators, all that stuff that we see now. So her
Right.
book's really interesting to watch.
Right.
Eric did end up growing up.
Right.
He went on American Idol. He won American Idol. He has been at the Emmys. If you guys that live in Nashville, if you listen to 105 point, what is it, 105.9, 102.9 The Buzz? I haven't lived there in years, guys. If you guys listen to The Buzz, that sexy voice that comes on there, E-Rock, that is my best friend. And that is a man that was chose to be kept instead of an abortion done. And now he is a famous, just amazing person that has went above and beyond in his life. He has beautiful music.
Yeah.
I mean, he's an amazing person. Okay, I have another story I'd like to share with everybody. I'm from Kentucky.
One thing. I want to
Yeah.
say this one thing. I was born as an illegitimate child into my dad was married, my mom was married to two different people. I was severely essayed when I was younger. I was abused. I've went through a lot in my life. Does that
Thank
mean
you, Miss
I should have been
Daisy.
aborted? Should
Thank
I
you,
have
Miss
been aborted?
Daisy. Thank you for saying that.
Because children are
You
neglected.
never have shared that to us
Doesn't mean they
before, I don't think.
they don't have they should be killed. I mean, should I have been aborted? Because my mom told me she thought about it. But here I am. I mean, just because,
And what a blessing you are.
It's
What a
not
blessing you are
our
to the world.
choice. It's not our choice to take another life. That is God's choice.
Exactly.
Not ours. We're not even allowed to take our own lives. Our own
Exactly.
life is not for us to take. Leave alone our child's life. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. And I agree 100%. And on the other side of this subject, and Callie, thank you so much. I appreciate it, girl.
I'm gonna sing you happy birthday today. Okay, go ahead.
Did you see? Cam. Sorry, y'all. It's a totally different subject, but Cam sang me happy birthday last night on the live.
Aww.
And he said he would sing it in any way I wanted him to sing it. So I asked him to sing it in Marilyn Monroe version. And it is the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. Had me sitting here blushing in my computer chair. It was great.
Excuse me.
But the abortion. Okay, so on that subject. So I'm from Kentucky, and I was raised in a Southern Baptist home with very, very, very strong Christian rules, regulations, and lifestyle.
Right.
That was something that was considered murder. You did not have an abortion. I was raised. You just don't even have that thought in your brain. That's just not right. It's not going to happen.
Right.
My grandmother would look at you and say, "You played the game. You get the rest. You don't get to cheat your way out." This is how we were raised. For those of y'all that know my story, know I've lost 2 children. Okay, so my daughter, I did lose my daughter, and that story it really. I don't want to get into that whole story today, but I will talk about my son. My sister was living in Kentucky, and this is an older sister. Regardless if we don't get along or not, has nothing to do with it, but we don't get along. And the reason why we don't get along now, and I haven't spoke to her the only time I've spoke to her is the day I buried my mother, is because of this story right here. In the state of Kentucky, it's illegal, has been illegal. There are not abortion clinics where I'm from. It just doesn't happen. They don't even, it's just doesn't happen. It's not there. So I live in Nashville, been living in Nashville for years, have kids in Nashville. I was 5.5 months pregnant when she came down there with Brad. I was 5.5 months pregnant when she came down to Nashville with my son. She came with my mother. I didn't get a phone call. I look out on my front, because we lived off of Dickerson Road downtown. So I looked out of my front, looked out through the fence, and I was like, "That's my sister's car." So I walked out to the car and I was like, "Hey, get that." I said, "Hey, what are you guys doing down here?" Well, my mother knew better than to look at me and tell me that she was there for the reason she was there for. So she looks at me and she tells me that they're there for a day of shopping. They're going to go to Opry Mills and they're going to go to the mall, and they're going to spend a big old day of just girls' day in Nashville, which wasn't unusual for people from my hometown. And those that are from Kentucky know that you either go to St. Louis or you go to Nashville, and you got a handful of other choices, but that's where you go if you're going to do something with your kids or have a day vacation or something like that. So I didn't think nothing about it. I didn't think nothing about them coming down. Well, they said, "Well, we'll come by and we'll hang out with you in a little while." So about, I'd say, 4 or 5 hours passed. They come back to my house. My sister wouldn't get out of the car, and she looked horrible. I don't know. There's no other way to describe the fact she looked like she'd been hit by a Mack truck. and she couldn't stand up. And I remember asking my mom, because Mom got out of the car and I was like, what's wrong with her? And Mom was like, she started not feeling well, and we're just going to go on home. We're not going, because we were supposed to go out and have dinner that night. And I was like, okay. I didn't think nothing about it. Well, I am high risk. This is why we don't try anymore. I am high risk, and it may have nothing to do with it, and it may just be my paranoid brain and the way my paranoid brain works. But my mother, Gertie, sorry guys, my mother couldn't live with it any longer that she had lied to me. And she especially couldn't live with it any longer that she had lied to me whenever I go to my regular doctor's appointment for no reason whatsoever, other than just it was a regular pregnancy appointment. And I go to get my ultrasound because I'm so excited that I already know he's a boy. And we're going to have a boy, another little boy, since both the big boys are big boys. And my baby's gone. He has no heartbeat.
Your mother never told you that?
No, when I went to the doctor after my mom, I called my mom and I told my mom, I was like, I lost the baby. He's gone. And she was like, he's gone. What's going on? You know, and I had been so careful this pregnancy. I had quit working. I was at home. I'd done everything the right way because I'm stubborn and I'm, you know, I am high risk, but I want to work. I can't just sit at home. I want to do laundry. I want to do stuff that I know I'm not supposed to do. But with him, I didn't. I was so careful because I just lost my daughter. And I really, I was really in a bad place and depressed and I needed him. With him, I was 6 months when I lost him.
Oh.
And you know, and trigger warning, guys, because this story, I don't normally tell this story, but this is an important story to tell people what happens.
Please tell us.
Okay, so I called my mother and I'm in tears, and I told her, I said, he's gone and I don't understand it. And my mother busted out in tears. She absolutely lost it, completely lost it, and told me the truth of why they came to Nashville that day. And it may not be her fault, and I'm not sitting here saying that I hold a grudge against her.
What did she say? What did she do?
She told me that her and my sister had came from Kentucky to my city, to my town in Nashville, where I lived, where I left away from all the troubles and all the crap back at home and moved to Nashville to restart my life, revamp my life. And my sister that I didn't get along with to start with, instead of going to Missouri and having it done, she came to Nashville and had it done. And I spent probably 10 years of my life holding a grudge against her because I believe somewhere in my mind that she brought bad energy to Nashville doing that. And the good Lord punished me because my sister came to Nashville and she had an abortion done in Nashville. And you know, it does. It affects you mentally, even if it's not you.
How far along was she?
You know,
I don't think God punishes you for your sister's acts.
Well, I know, but my brain, you know, you have to understand, I just lost my daughter. And so my brain was already mush as it was. And then when that happened, it threw me into like I was just even more anti-abortion at that point.
Right.
Because it was like, you know, in my brain, you know, why would you come to Tennessee? Why didn't you go to Missouri? Why would you come to my city knowing that I'm high risk and I have problems? You know, and it was just, that's where my brain went against her. Right. So I lost my son, and Miss Daisy was talking about how the baby starts to break down and stuff like that. And trigger warning, guys, I carried my baby for 4 days after I lost him because my doctor was not in town, and the hospital, and I'm Southern Hills in Nashville is not, if you're pregnant and if you're listening to this live, change hospitals. Don't have your baby there. I'm a cigarette smoker.
That's
my
why
baby
the
was
pieces.
gone.
That's why the pieces of the baby were so shocking to me, even though I've seen it before. But it just made me have a flashback about my miscarriage. I mean, I don't know how far along I was. I was far enough along to think it was a boy and even named him. And had a girl's name too. And then all of a sudden, kabam. You don't even know what's happening. You start cramping like crazy. You go to the bathroom and then a clot comes out as big as your head or more so, and you bleed forever. My husband was so upset. Everything finally calmed down. And I mean, this was horrible. It was horrible because he had to see it and I had to see it.
Right.
And he cleaned it up.
Aww.
It was horrible. And then I told my doctor, and he said, "You had a miscarriage." But I described it. So, I already had a name for him. I thought it was him. So that's how, that's something you carry with you for the rest of your life. You won't ever forget that memory.
No, you
True.
won't. You won't. Yeah, it's absolutely true. And I've had 2 miscarriages that were that form of miscarriage, and it does it. It's the most extremely painful thing you've ever went through, and it's not a pain that you just have during the miscarriage. That goes on for 2 or 3 days. You cramp, you hurt, and it emotionally it really messes with you
You
too.
still have the hormones there that wants that baby. You
Yeah.
have that want for that baby.
Yeah, your body craves that. Your body craves that. I mean, after I lost my daughter, by no means, guys, do I mean that she replaced my daughter. So please don't take it this way. But sometimes on the lives, you guys will see my little min pin or jump up in my lap, and I had to have something. I had to have something that I have my boys and I have my daughters, but I needed something small, something tiny, something little that loved me unconditionally right then and there. I had to have her. I needed her. So she became my emotional support dog, and she's still with me today. She's getting
Oh,
older.
that's great. That's
But
great.
she,
You need
she
that.
was right. She was my ribbons and bows because I joke around, and because my stepdaughters, when I married Ray, my stepdaughters were older, so I didn't get the ribbons and bows. I never got to put on little dresses and put little ribbons in hairs, and that got stolen from me. I lost my daughter for her umbilical cord got wrapped around her neck.
I know how you feel. I really do.
I was full term and going to have my baby, but due
I've
to
never had any children since.
the hospital that I was at,
Or
they didn't
I
bother to do none of the testing that they should have done. It was horrible. But
The
my
funny thing
son,
about it is, and we need to talk about this, when you have an abortion, not abortion, when you miscarried, did you have cramps afterwards because your uterus was letting go like you were,
That's normal.
it was gone and the uterus is like cramping because it's used to having that there for a few weeks or whatever?
It's natural for
Did
you
you have that?
Back up and go back to normal. That's normal, Sherry.
I'm sorry to hear that, Tim, and that's awful.
I mean, my husband was very supportive about it. Very. I'm lucky for that.
Well, when I was at Southern Hills, the doctor comes in there, and of course, like I said, my doctor was on vacation. So this doctor comes in there and he tells me he's going to do a DNC. No, you're not, because I know what a DNC is, and you're not going anywhere near me with that. Well,
I was in Gatlinburg when I had the miscarriage.
Well, they wanted to. I was a lot further along than a DNC, in my opinion. Daisy, am I wrong?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I was a lot further along than let's do a DNC. You got to be kidding me. So they were not happy with me at that hospital to start with.
I'm so
I told the
sorry.
nurses, I said, my baby is gone. I want a cigarette.
I'm
I'm
so
stressed
sorry.
out. I have 900 things going through my mind right now. I really, really want a cigarette.
I'm sorry.
So they
I'm
hated
so
my
sorry.
guts that I wanted to go down and smoke a cigarette. So I pretty much just made my ex-husband go get me a wheelchair and take me outside before I lose it. So he took me outside. I smoked probably 10 cigarettes sitting outside of that hospital. And I have seizures. Well, lo and behold, of course, that's the perfect time to have a seizure. So I have a seizure outside, and he has to drag me upstairs. Well, by the time he gets upstairs, these nurses and doctors are so frustrated that they've been telling me I didn't need to go down and smoke a cigarette anyway, and all this other stuff. And I understand that, but these people had zero bed manner with me.
Oh
I
my
ended up
gosh.
begging for over an hour.
I
for a
cannot
bed.
even imagine this.
I could not get a bedpan in my room. I could not get a nurse to come in my room and stand there for longer than 10 minutes. I was treated like I shouldn't even have been there because I would not agree to trigger warning, but in my opinion, using a mixer inside me on my child, it wasn't going to happen.
No, they should have induced you.
So I asked them, I said, why can y'all not induce me? Well, I guess we can. They never came in for 5 hours. They finally came in there. I'm laying in that bed knowing
I'd
that
be
it's
screaming
causing
and yelling and
arguments
pitching
between me
such a
and my
fit. Somebody would
ex-husband.
have to come check on me
So
or
much
put me in the
tension.
psych ward.
It was unreal. They finally come in. They induce me. Now, you would think that after they induce me, they would pay attention to my button on my bed. They would pay attention to my room. I don't know. They would have come in there.
Yeah, because you could give birth at any time.
I had to pee. And I'm sorry, y'all, to be out of pocket, but
Oh, we know what pee is. We
so
all do it.
I had to go pee.
We all do it.
So I get up, and he's gone now. He passed away in April 2 years ago. But I had to go to the bathroom. And I got up, drug my IV stand over to the little bathroom there in the little maternity room, delivery room that
And
I
I
had.
know what happened next.
And I went to stand up to pull my little fancy mesh panties down. And I'm not going to be graphic, but guys, I'll put it like this.
Here comes
When
the
I
baby.
pulled my panties down, it was a good damn thing I had my hands down there because I delivered my own child.
That's what I said. Here comes
My
the baby.
ex-husband went out there, and my ex-husband grabbed that nurse around the nape of her neck, and he drug her in there, and he slammed her against that wall while I was standing there holding my son. And I won't get into the words, but he used some pretty damn choice words with her. Do you know they never came back in that room? They never came back in and got my son. My ex-husband and I actually removed.
They took your son?
No, they never came out and got him. She left me standing in the bathroom with him in my hands.
What?
And I walked over to the bed.
You could have
and I laid him on the bed.
You could still sue.
Yeah, and I don't know
What
why I
about the
never had it.
placenta? And what about?
You can sue in OB. You can sue up to 20 years.
Miss Daisy, I want to talk to you on a personal, and I may get with you on that and see, because it's a hospital in Nashville, and they need to be held accountable.
I cannot believe that.
It gets worse. It gets worse.
Oh,
So
I've had stuff like that happen.
my ex-husband helps me get over to the bed. Well, everything doesn't all come out at once right away sometimes, especially when you're standing in the middle of a damned hospital room.
Right.
So everything else comes out. Let me tell you, everything comes out at once. I mean, I'm talking about it was so bad.
Afterbirth.
I lay him
the
out.
baby, the afterbirth, and it's a big bloody mess.
I lay him out. We took everything out from around him. We took all the afterbirth and all that mess. I cut his umbilical cord myself.
Was he breathing? Was he breathing?
He was gone. He'd been gone. I'd been carrying him for 4 days knowing he was gone. And my brain was I wanted him to be there so bad. I would take my heartbeat monitor and I would sit in my room and run it all over my belly to try to listen to maybe they weren't right. Maybe he was laying the wrong way. Maybe they just didn't catch it. That's where, because I was so out of my brain. There's no way I've lost another baby. I was so careful this time. I was so careful. I never smoked a cigarette. I didn't do anything. I didn't work. I did everything the right way. I still ended up losing him. My ex-husband left me in that room. And I'll tell you, this is how long I was in that hospital and never saw another nurse. My ex-husband left me in that room, went down to the mall in Nashville, to Opry Mills, bought the prettiest little cedar box you've ever laid eyes on, brought it back to the hospital. I took my son, wrapped him in, and no ill intentions, guys. My ex-husband was born in 1959, and it was his choice. He went and got a rebel flag. We wrapped him in a tiny little rebel flag. We put him in that box. I took him to Woodlawn Funeral Home and Cemetery myself.
They never came and delivered the placenta or anything?
No.
Oh my
Daisy.
God.
They never came back in that room. Me and my ex-husband did this all on my own.
Oh my God.
And I walked out of there.
When did you say this was?
This was in 2004.
Oh my God, you got a lawsuit.
What year did you say this was?
No, I'm sorry. My brain. Bryce was born in Tater was born in 2004 and Brad was born in 2007.
Oh my word.
He would have been 15 years old. That's the same age.
He was born in 2007. So I walk into Woodlawn right there in Nashville in Antioch. I walk into the funeral home, and the funeral home director's kind of looking at me funny because I'm sure I did look weird. I looked like hell. My hair was all over the place.
Right. Wow.
You know, I walked in with a little wooden box in my hands. Well, it wasn't little, but I walked in with a small wooden box in my hands, and the guy walks over to me and he said, "Afternoon, can I help y'all with something?" And I said, "I'm hoping so. I need to have my son cremated." And the man looked at me and he said, "Okay." He said, "We'll step into my office and I'll go ahead and I'll get your information and the hospital's information, and we'll go ahead and I'll personally go over there and pick up the baby myself."
Right.
And I said, "Oh, honey, there's no sense in picking him up." I said, "Do you want me to hand him
Because
to
you
you?"
already did.
And he said, "Hand him to me. Is he in that box?" I said, "Yes, he's in this box right here." And I told him what hospital it was. And he said he thought that I had brought in a box of belongings to leave with the funeral home. No, it wasn't a box of belongings. It was my son.
Oh my Lord. What did he say when you handed him to you?
They were just amazing. They took him. He didn't take him out of the room. He took him. He set him right there on his desk, and he was just appalled, amazed, and just floored. And he looked at me and he said, "We will not charge you anything to do this." And they cremated my son, and they paid for the urn, and he has a beautiful little urn and everything. And I carried him around for years and years with me until my mom passed away. And when my mom passed away, I buried him with my mom. And my daughter is buried in Portland, Oregon, or Portland, Tennessee. I'm sorry, my brain. She's buried in Portland with her grandmother. And my son's buried in Kentucky, in Golo, Kentucky, with my mom.
Wow.
And that's my story, guys. And that's why
one of the saddest things I've ever heard.
That's why I'm a little hard to
in my
handle.
entire
And
life.
I'm a little hard to handle, and sometimes I do come across as kind of, I guess, hard. But I've been through it. I've lived through it. I've got the T-shirt, the hat, and the tattoo. So.
Oh, that's horrible.
But thank you guys for listening to my story, and I just wanted to share both sides of what happens if you don't have an abortion, and then what happens to women that miscarry. And
I know. I asked that question earlier about when a baby dies in the womb. Is that still considered abortion if you have to take the baby?
They call it a medical. They do call it a medical abortion, and
they do. Yeah, they call it a spontaneous.
It's a medical emergency, like a spontaneous abortion.
Not a elective.
Your body is letting go of the fetus, the embryo, or fetus. Right?
It's just sad all the way around, y'all. It's sad.
Yeah, but guys, if you decide, if you decide in your life that you've got to that point where something's happened to you and you have to have an abortion, reach out and talk to somebody, because believe me, there are so many moms like Miss Daisy and like the hundreds and thousands of us that come in this chat room that please don't give your babies away to strangers on the street. Please don't sell them. Please don't kill them. Give them to us. We'll take them. We'll give them homes.
Absolutely. We will. We'll take them. And there's so many people out here that would be willing to take that baby that, look in before you decide to make that decision. Find out what really happens. That's all I have to say. Find out for yourself what really happens to that baby when they decide that they're going to take that baby in an abortion.
Because I tell you what, my sister, the story I told y'all about her, how Miss Daisy said that girl had seen her baby. Do you know my sister's had 4 kids since that happened, and I'm the oldest of 7, so I'm not throwing anybody under the bus by name, but she's rather promiscuous, and being married doesn't mean much to her. But let me tell you what, those 4 kids that have happened since that, they're still here. She hadn't got rid of them, because when they did that to her in Nashville, they didn't turn away. They didn't put her out. They didn't carefully make sure. No, she got to see and feel and hear everything they did to that baby, and she never had another one done.
Oh, how far along was she when she had it done?
My mom's gone, and I don't talk to her, and I'm not sure how far along she was, because I honestly, Miss Daisy, this is the first time in years that I've even breathed the word of this. Craig just came in from work, and I don't think he's ever even heard me talk about her.
Oh, so you still hold a grudge against her because of that?
A little bit. And it's not only just that, Miss Daisy. There's more to it than that. She did that. She never ever showed any kind of remorse or never told me that she was sorry for my loss or anything.
Oh,
And
wow.
then I lose my mother, and this is an honest, true story. And those that know me, and there's a couple people that are on the YouTube streets that are actually from my hometown that know me. I had a pair of cowboy boots on. I was so stressed out that day from the way my siblings presented themselves at that funeral. I walked the bottoms off my cowboy boots. I finished that funeral and went to the cemetery barefoot, because my sister felt that it was more important to sit in the parking lot of that funeral home and do her choice of drugs instead of be in the funeral home for the rest of us. So honestly, I'd say a little bit is probably what she pulled back years ago in Nashville, and a lot of it is what she pulled at my mama's funeral that I don't talk to her anymore.
Right, absolutely. Absolutely.
I understand that.
I can see it. I can see being resentful. I mean, for her, the way she done you with your mom too, and it's
I
just
mean, if she called me and needed something, Miss Daisy, don't you think for a second I wouldn't break my neck to help her? But as far as going out of my way to talk to her, it's not going to happen.
Well, when you sit with your sister and have to take her to 3 different doctors to convince her that her baby is gone, and watch her lay and cry her eyes out for hours and hours and hours, and there's nothing you can say and do. I mean, that's horrific, y'all. And that's
it's a pain that
never
heals.
She refused to believe that her baby was gone.
I don't believe in abortions, period.
It's a pain that never heals. Once you've carried that child and you lose that child, it's a pain that never heals. It never goes away. It never, ever goes away. When I lost Alyssa, it took years. It took years for me to even be able to go around a little girl.
Oh, I bet. I bet.
The few of y'all that are on my Facebook, y'all see I have a stepdaughter. She's the only little girl that I've successfully been able to be around for more than a few hours at a time, and it doesn't send me into a panic attack to this day. And I don't do babies. I can't do little babies at all. I don't do babies. I don't hold babies. I don't kiss babies. I don't hug babies.
Oh, I love babies. I just want to get the little toes off, the little fingers off.
I like buying stuff for them. Like I'm the grandma that will spoil the crap out of them. But you don't got to worry about me being the grandma coming up and snatching them out of your hands, because I just I
loved it when I worked as an OB nurse, and we would have nothing to do at night but rock the babies, and they were so cuddly and they were so strong and they had so much personality. It's just, you're like, how? But not only did I have to deal with those kind of babies, but I dealt with the babies that had to deal with the drug addictions as well, and that's heartbreaking all in itself.
Miss Daisy,
uh-huh,
you are a very strong person. You are much stronger than you think you are.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
You have been through the SA. You have been through the stuff with Jinkies. Or if you have another sister, we don't know about her because she doesn't get on YouTube.
I do. I have 3 more sisters.
Wow.
Really?
In Kentucky, we come in tribes, y'all.
One has passed away. She died of appendicitis.
I'm sorry.
I thank my sister for having the babies for me. I said, thank you for having these babies for me.
Well, yeah, I love babies. I'm the same way. I hope to have children in my life. I feel empty and alone without them. That's me.
Well, my new grandbaby just turned a month and she's already giggling.
And she's beautiful too. She's
I know.
Baby.
I've seen
that pictures of her, Robin. But Sunshine, you're strong, honey. You're so strong. And you have to give that to God, because that,
Oh yes, ma'am. Believe me, it took a lot of soul searching. It really did. It really did, because, when something like that first happens, I'm not going to sit here and say I didn't. I was so angry with God. I couldn't understand. I'm a good person. I'm a good mom. I raised kids that I didn't give birth to. I've got, why do I deserve this? Why did I deserve this? Not once, but twice.
You deserve it.
Never blame
and
God.
It took years to be able to look inside myself and see that, that there was a reason. There was a reason. There was something that the Lord saw, that it wasn't in my cards and in my stars lined out in His plan for me to have those kids. It wasn't. And after I lost both my kids, I ended up finding out I had cancer.
Oh.
So I would have never been able to have taken care of a toddler while I was sick like that. 2 toddlers, because they were born very close together. I would have never been able to do that. And the 4 older kids that I was already taking care of, and a stepdaughter that had 7 kids of her own that would randomly bring them over and drop them off. You know, it was everything happens for a reason. And I'll tell you something else, guys.
I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine, Robin. If you
We don't
look back, precious moments, and those that are my age or older know the precious moments, the little girl and boy that you see with the religious names and stuff on them. Look at his story. Look at his story. If you read his story, he lost his daughter and he denounced God. He denounced God. He stepped away from God, and his life went down.
Oh no,
He felt the wrath of what happened when he stood there and said, God is not mine no more. Once he realized,
absolutely,
he came and he made the precious moments line. Those babies that are in all the swings and all those scenes that you see precious moments, those are the precious moments that he'll never get to spend with his child.
Right.
That's where precious moments came from. And I didn't know that until I went to a support group.
Yeah, well, I just want to say this. It's not God that does it. It's the devil. The devil wants to kill, steal, and destroy. And he's the one that does it.
And he's not done.
And God takes those babies to heaven with him and takes care of them.
Absolutely.
And and like I said, I had a thing but I had a thing about, I was weird about little girls. And the Lord brought me Mr. Sunshine. And he didn't come just Mr. Sunshine. He came with a beautiful little girl that needed me in her life because her mom has her own demons. Her biological mother has her own demons.
Right.
And the Lord put me in her life. And this little girl, I mean, for those of y'all that are on my personal Facebook pictures of her, I'm generally somewhere within the arm's reach because she's my little heart. She's my everything. But the Lord saw that I was at a time in my life where I would be able to welcome her into my heart and take her into my heart. And I honestly believe that. And there's a country song, God Gave Me You. And that's mine and Craig's song. Because that song tells our story. I've been through it. He's been through it. We've searched through the ends of the earth. And somewhere in Daytona Beach was that energy that said, you two meet together right now. You need each other for this purpose.
Every time you share this story.
Are you there, Sherry?
I think Sherry's froze.
Sherry, dear.
Sherry, come back.
It's helping you every time you talk. I'm here.
Okay.
I used to not be able to be around little girls either.
It helps you.
Yeah.
And it does. And all the years that me and Craig have been together, I've just recently told him Brad's story. Because it's not something I talk about openly. It's not something that I'm not looking for poor pitiful me or nothing like that. It's just situations like this. And, I actually took a nap. I was up late last night working on some cases. So I took a nap today and woke up and checked the Goose Chat and saw that we had a controversial live. And I was like, oh, let me jump in that. And then when I seen what it was, I was like, oh, well, this is my time to go on panel and give everybody a little insight of exactly, if you make your choices, and this is what we do here on YouTube. This is what we do on all these social media platforms where we go live. Tell your story. If you hear a story, listen to that story. Take that story somewhere into effect. Somewhere along the lines, it may not be tomorrow. It may not be a year from now, but 10 years from now, you may be sitting in a situation, and in the back of your mind, you may think about, well, damn, I was sitting on the farm one day, and I heard a lady tell a story, and your story might touch somebody. So don't be like me and be scared. Go up on panel. Miss Daisy welcomes all on panel.
Yeah. And if we could save one baby, one beautiful baby with this live, then it'll be all worth it.
I agree.
I've told my story so many times, and I'm so upset right now with the Supreme Court that I have decided to put it in my head to send them an email every single day about the Miller case versus Alabama. This boy's he's going to get 28 years to the good that murdered my daughter because of that Miller case versus Alabama. If he gets out, he's going to die. My son is so mad right now. He wants to go. And I'm like, I want a jury.
I honestly don't believe they'll let him out. His murder is too heinous, Miss Robin.
Yeah, but listen,
please let the law enforcement take care of it, because you know.
Oh, I'm not going to do anything to him.
Okay,
he's doing that to himself.
Thank you.
Believe me, he's got to face his creator, like I do.
We all do.
We all have to face our creator. And I don't see how people cannot look at the sky, look at the birds, look at the grass. Everything is in perfect order, and not believe.
Miss Daisy, you just said the same thing Abraham Lincoln talked about. He said, I don't know how anybody can be an atheist when you walk out and you see the trees and you see the wildlife and you see the animals and you look around and you see people. How can you deny God?
Yeah.
That's what Abraham Lincoln said.
The beauty, everything is put in its own sequence. Everything is at its own homeostasis. God made everything perfect. It's us that came in and messed everything up. We have messed this world up horrifically. We mess with our homeostasis when they mess with our food. They started putting hormones. They started putting chemicals in our food. It's messed with our bodies. We've messed with genetics. We've took animals and replaced them and put them in other places. We messed up this world, not God. We did. Human life did that.
And cloning animals.
And everything else that goes with it.
And artificial intelligence.
I mean, then the girl
that's going to get us right there.
The girl that was my daughter's best friend that she played with every day.
Callie said
she died of a drug overdose. She had fentanyl in her weed and she didn't even know.
Oh my God.
And she was such a beautiful young lady. She turned out to be such a beautiful young lady.
That's sad. All of it's sad. Sad situation.
Fentanyl is killing people left and right. And I mean, and like I said in chat, and while we're on the subject, it's off subject, but this is an important thing. This is an awareness thing, guys.
Fentanyl is killing people.
If you're listening and if you know somebody, ladies, if you walk up to your vehicle and there is a rose on your vehicle, do not pick that rose up and smell it.
Oh.
Because let me tell you what they're doing. They're putting fentanyl in the roses.
Please? Do not pick up a folded dollar bill or any kind of bill off the pavement or a sidewalk. They fold it and they put fentanyl in it. So when you open it up, through your pores, you have been exposed and you're probably going to overdose. And these people do this for fun. And I don't get it at all. But do not pick up anything, anywhere.
And just to put an idea in y'all's heads, a grain of sand, 3 little grains of sand is enough fentanyl to kill you.
Yes.
3 grains of sand. Do you know how tiny that is? That is enough to kill you.
Do not pick up anything.
But the roses, what they're doing, and it may be a fake rose, it could be a real rose here in Florida, and those of y'all that live here in Florida, we have the homeless that go around, they take the palm fronds and they make roses out of them. There's nothing to say that somebody didn't pick up that palm frond rose.
Yep.
Put fentanyl in it, lay it on the hood of your car, because they're laying all over the streets, because the homeless usually charge $1 for them.
Don't pick
Tourists
up
feel
anything.
bad. They pay them $1 for them and they lay them on the ground. But what they're doing is they're watching from a distance. You smell the rose, you fall out. They have a van or something that comes up, they grab you, and that's how they're grabbing these girls down here. A lot of them.
Wow.
I had a guy come up to me in the parking lot the other day, and I don't walk out of this house without some kind of protection on me. I'm walking across the parking lot. This guy comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, how are you doing today?" And I swelled up about 10 foot tall and bulletproof. I said, "I'm all right, man. How about yourself?" Kind of kept walking away from him. And he starts asking me if have I ever heard of a scared room. Have I ever been in a scared room? Do I know anything about a scared room? And I took my shirt and I leaned my shirt back to the side and I stuck my finger down in my pocket where my Kershaw hat was. And, well, it's not a Kershaw, but my pocket knife. I had my pocket knife and I leaned down in there and I said, man, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not the one. And I suggest you walk away from me. And he went one way and I went the other way. Because let me tell you what, in my heart, he was fixing to grab me. Or the vehicle that was riding up and down the road was fixing to come back around and grab me. Because I don't sleep good.
Hello, bless Lulu.
And sometimes at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, I might walk to 7-Eleven.
Honey, this is really going on. It's really going on. I've been reading about it.
Yeah, and I'm scared to walk out of my house. We have a rule now that you don't leave the house after midnight.
Well, you know what? I won't even go. I will not go anywhere with a crowd because somebody just ran over a bunch of protesters today. It's always somebody shooting somebody at the grocery store. It's somebody shooting somewhere at church. I don't care where you go. If you're in a large crowd, you are at risk, in my opinion.
Now, let me tell you, I'm at risk right here in my home. We're sitting here at my home. I don't want to dox myself. I mean, yeah, Robin is too. Let me tell you, it's not fun down here. It's not. When you live down here, it's different than coming down here and spending time and enjoying the ocean. It is scary living down here. We're sitting here. My son's here. My oldest son's here. We're just having a good old time. We're all sitting around talking, watching TV. I think we were watching Stranger Lands. Shots fired out front. And I'm not talking about a couple of shots. I'm talking about they are shooting a shootout like country Wild West crazy mess out front.
Yeah,
the next morning, I go out and I walk around and I actually uploaded a video about it. I walked around and videoed the red Solo cups that Daytona police chose to use to cover the bullets up until 2 of the bullets are still laying out here on the sidewalk, not to include all the blood that's all the way around the sidewalk, all the way around. You know,
there was a shooting out here last night. I don't know what happened.
So then News 2 wants to get on News 2 wants to get on and they want to talk about how they're protecting beachside and they're cleaning up beachside and beachside's going to be so much better. No, you know what? They didn't come to none of us residents that live here on beachside. They didn't ask none of us. No, not one resident was interviewed. No, it was a good damn thing they didn't interview me because let me tell you what I did. As soon as that TV went off, I emailed Daytona Sheriff's Department and was like, you are full of shit. Where are y'all at? Y'all are not out here. Y'all are nowhere on beachside because there's been 4 shootings in the past 2 days.
Daytona's crazy. The further south you go, oh my goodness.
Do not take a flower off your windshield. Just get in your car and hope it blows off. Do not pick up anything like people used to pick up coins or whatever. Don't pick up anything. Because there are people that are so evil in this world, they don't even get to see what happens unless they're hiding in the lurks and they're watching to see what happens. But this is the way our world is now. And a lot of people say it's end times. And I've studied Western civilization. And yes, many civilizations have said it was the end times. You know, we don't know for sure, but this is pretty much looking like Revelation. It's not Revelations, by the way. It's Revelation. No S. It's John's Revelation.
Yes,
that's all I have
Jay.
to say.
Absolutely.
That's my sermon for today.
Well, ladies, I think I'm going to go ahead and end this live because I want to start another one up here after a while. This one's kind of controversial. I've lost a lot of subs, but that's okay. That's okay. I felt like I had to do it. I had to do what I had to do and bring this
Miss Daisy, if God called you to do this, then don't even question it. Okay, baby? I'm just telling you. If he called you to do this.
Oh, I'm mad too. I'm mad. I'm so mad. I got it in my head to email the United States Supreme Court every single day. I am mad as hell.
Well, thank y'all for listening to my story.
Oh, you're welcome. And we're going to be praying for you.
Anytime. And I don't like to come up here because I'm scared to death.
Well, you do good, Sherry. You do great.
You do, Miss Sherry. We love it when you're up there.
Yeah, Sherry.
Thank you. I just tend to interrupt.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Because
as
I'm going to
can
forget my thought if I don't interrupt right there.
be. It's okay.
You know
It's
what I mean?
okay, Sherry.
We
But we'll
people that are getting older understand this.
Miss
Okay,
Miss
love you guys.
Angie loves
Please
Sunshine.
take care of yourselves,
Love
and
you guys.
I
I'll
hope
be
to
on in a
see
little.
you back. Okay.
I'll be back at probably around 8 or 9 this evening with a better subject that it's not so controversial. If I
Okay,
have
let's
any
just
subs left.
let's
But
let our butts run free on that channel because we need
we'll
a
let our
break.
butts. Yeah, we'll let
We
our
need a
butts run
break. We
free.
need some laughter.
Yes, yes. I
We'll
love
get
each
Don B up here.
and thank you all for supporting me and thank you for understanding. Thank you, Mrs. Fletcher. Thank you guys. I love every one of you all.
You have the greatest mods of the world.
I do. I have some really great goose squads and family and family here.
I'm very proud of you, Miss Daisy.
Thank you
And I
so
respect
much.
you so much. Bye bye until the next time, okay?
All right. Bye, sweetheart.
All right. Bye.
Bye. And Robin, we'll be praying for you in that situation, honey. I know it's hard, but just let God handle it. I don't believe they'll let him out. I really don't.
I want a jury. I want to be heard.
All right, Miss Grandma D. Well, I want to thank each and every one of y'all for coming out tonight. I love you all. I'll be back tonight with a better subject. Well, not a less controversial subject. So join us tonight and all right. Thank you, Jackie. I appreciate it. Love each and every one of y'all, and I'll see you tonight. Love you all. Bye.
Love you too.
Bye, Robin. Love you.
Bye.